that. So let's bring up the map Veto. I'm quite curious. We're going to discuss the maps in detail then, why certain ones are being banned, because not only are we preparing for today, but we're also preparing for Invitational not long from now. The first ban comes out, scores ban, pick, ban, and then a final decider. VP taking out Theme Park. James, what's the looky here with Villa 2 taken out?
Theme Park, decent map for Na'Vi. Virtus.Pro, one of their most bans, so that makes sense there. Villa has historically been a really good map for Virtus.Pro. If you remember, especially I think it was the November Major, we saw so many times Na'Vi played BDS on that map, and the infamous living library strategies that they brought out. Like, Virtus.Pro is so good on Villa. Great idea from Na'Vi to ban that. So it makes perfect sense.
The other thing you have to bear in mind is both times these teams played each other in the EUL regular season, it was on Villa. And there was 7-1 and 7-3 scorelines both time to Virtus.Pro. So Na'Vi probably having some flashbacks there. Don't want to go down that path again. So I think that's definitely a good ban from them.
So there's Consulate. First pick, VP.
Na'Vi got 7-0'd by BDS on Consulate just in the semi-final just the other day. So let's see if you can do any better against VP. But for Na'Vi, I'm probably looking at the other two maps that are going to be through to hopefully manage
Clubhouse against VP. All right, yet another... I don't know how many question marks are being put over the pick ban right now, but personally, I'm going to feel like an interrobang at this point with many of them all over the screen. Let's move on and go through the last two bans. It's Cafe, taken away by VP. Map Na'Vi is quite comfortable on. What else? Come on, excited. Yep. Oregon is out. Coastline is in as decider. Overall thoughts, James?
Well, like I was saying, Consulates, to me, you can almost write it in now for VP. Na'Vi proved me wrong, but I'm definitely favoring VP there. For Clubhouse, that's actually a really good map for Na'Vi. They won against BDS just the other day, and we saw Virtus.Pro lose 7-2 to G2 just yesterday, and they'd already lost previously in Russian Major League to Empire. Like, not the greatest results on Club. So I actually feel like both teams are going to be really confident on their own map picks, and as an inference from that, we look at Coastline, and I feel like that's probably where this series is going to get decided. Now, funnily enough, it is Na'Vi's most banned map, tied with Clubhouse over the last 6 months or so, and we've also seen the most banned map is Coastline for Virtus.Pro, so it can definitely go either way. Na'Vi lost it to Makers in the SI quals, and we've seen Virtus.Pro play it a couple times, but I feel like Coastline's definitely up for grabs, and we're probably going to need it to settle this.
I think it was smart from VP to ban Cafe as well, because that was another map which they lost just yesterday to G2, so don't want to have that in the way, but I agree with your sentiments about Coastline. I think more than anything, I want it to get to that third map, because that's going to be a really interesting place to be. Both of these teams have real strong, aggressive players who can make the most of the playstyle that we typically see on Coastline, and even though it's the most banned map from both of them, that almost puts it on even footing, and I think it's kind of, you never know which way it could go if it goes to Coastline, so I think that'd be incredibly exciting more than anything.
So on map one, we know that Na'Vi aren't looking too hot after their performance a couple of days ago, but VP, how much can they show coming up to Invitational? That's another question I want to pose. More of an open one for both of you. We have a bit more time before we head into game. Actually, we might be very close to it. So you know what? I'm just going to take up. Who do you think will take map number one? Let's just recap it. James, your thought? Name? Give me.
Virtus.Pro, I think. Virtus.Pro. Like, they haven't been flawless on this map, but they've beaten some good teams. Windstrike, Empire, Tempera. So I think they're going to take this, especially with Na'Vi having such poor form on Consulate at the moment.
Gio?
I agree. I think Virtus.Pro.
All right, Ms. Collins, Mr. Stewart, thank you so much for your intel and information and breakdown on the analyst list. Let's toss it down to our casters. Please enjoy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the opening of the final day. I'm Fluke. That's Hap. What way are you? That way? Yeah. And we're going to have our third place playoff. No lower bracket, no double elim, only single this time around, and it's two teams that are battling for, well, a pretty prize pool.
Not just that, but also the third place. And it's been said before on the desk here, VP have been gatekeeping Na'Vi out of, well, basically the 6th Invitational throughout the entire year. Na'Vi's going into this one wanting to beat them, wanting to beat VP. They don't have anything to hold for. Like, they are not going to 6th Invitational as the only team of the 4 here that we will be seeing today. that means they can go all out. They can prove that they are better than VP here today, and that is definitely what they want to do.
Now, obviously, we're looking at Consulate as the first map, which has been a pretty consistent hot topic for a lot of these teams, Na'Vi included. It was not a good showing, I think it's fair to say, when we were last here. So Virtus.Pro is obviously read into that, as they said on the desk. It's something where they have a great chance and a great opportunity, and gives us a moment to quickly talk about it as we wait for the players. Someone has unfortunately just gone a little bit missing just as we're about to get into the game, so we'll be in that just as soon as we can.
Yeah, we will be getting into that soon. There is, like, Consulate is going to be coming up, right? It's going to be aggression that we are going to be seeing, and we have seen the players of Virtus.Pro being able to do that quite well yesterday. We've seen them go. Yeah, they know how to fire their guns, but so does Na'Vi. They didn't manage to take a map out of BDS. They almost managed to turn it all the way around, and then it would have been in the finals. But well, they're here right now, and then the question is, what are they going to do? Are they going to be like did they pick themselves back up? How did they treat that basically off day they had, because they played on the Friday, didn't play yesterday? How are they going to deal with that? Is that going to be an advantage for them? Are they coming in more rested than VP might be? We can only wait and see it, actually, but there's many different
factors. That is how it works. Yeah, we can only just wait. Right?
We just wait to see and we talk about it.
It's one of those things as well, because we're always, whenever you're in a competition like this, but you have a big competition looming, you talk about the prospect of who's kind of putting everything into it, who's giving all and who's giving a performance. But you've got to also realize that argument was made in the first game that Na'Vi showed up on, and in that first map, they weren't there at all. The second...
Which map?
Yeah, it's... For the sake of Na'Vi players, probably, we'll forget about that one. Then they started to pull it back. Then they were able to have some big performance from the Gunners. And that's also, if you look at the history of BDS versus Na'Vi, oftentimes it's the Na'Vi Gunners that haven't really been able to show up, whereas players like Milan, when he was kind of first introduced to the roster, went absolutely massive when these two hit heads on Villa just before. So, I have confirmation we are just about to get into the map. Sorry about that very quick delay. But that's something to take in mind and look towards, is if the Gunners of Na'Vi, if Doki, if Joe, who's obviously taken a bit more of a reserved role, can't quite find the momentum that they had a great habit of doing when Na'Vi is successful, this could turn into a little bit of a Virtus.Pro show.
You know what? I'm going to press that big red start button because everybody knows the casters are the ones. I'm sorry.
You're the
everybody
one that
knows
delays
the casters hold them. But it's me. I wanted to just hear you talk for a bit.
I don't.
Whilst seeing your face. And,
oh no! I would rather not show my face at all. I want to get like one of those. Become like a V-caster, VTuber. Can we do that production next time?
Can we do that?
Is that
just
is that in the budget?
Some YouTube characters.
I never have to see my face, but let's have a look at the faces of Na'Vi Virtus.Pro. Now we've already talked in lengths about how this can work, but I guess, if we're going to be able to have any sort of closure for the previous Consulate experience, well, why not try and double down on Consulate? Opening map, and second chance to be able to pull this together. You're looking at, hopefully, a little bit of a better situation from those UK plus saves guns. I'm curious to see how much they've kind of grown.
I mean, it's hard to not grow from an 07.
Okay.
I think it's only better from
but if from
that point on.
But if you're in, if you're in the silhouette of the mothership, if you are that underdog team, then everything's for the win. Nothing to lose, everything's for the win.
True. I mean, Na'Vi is, in some extent, the underdog here. Yes, they have little to hide. Nothing to hide, really. Considering the fact that, 6 Invitationals is on soon as well. They are not qualified for that. And after that, the competition should be getting to start again. That means there's still plenty of time for them to rework whatever they might have after this area, or after this tournament. And as we get started now, is it going to be the Na'Vi that shows and throws everything into the ring? Or will we see VP strike back before Na'Vi can even get going?
Opening up onto the Cafe Garage hold and opening up into that basement setup with Mira on the board. An operator that we've talked about in lengths of what she can offer. We've seen some slightly questionable holds from the teams over this tournament, over the play days, with Mira still on the board. But the ban still, it's going to continue to make sense. Oh, I say, there she goes. The bait and play on the 6th pick on an operator like that, if it does get locked in, is she's a bit of a mental game. She forces teams to play in a different way, and now they might not play so intently on the potential of those Kaid claws. Keeps them hidden around the far left side behind the electric box to make sure that the wall's under a bit of a lock and key. And if a team is late to the punch to find that out, then, well, they might be late to take piano. They might be late to try and apply pressure elsewhere. It's a different mental game and a different approach that you have to apply against the mirror and against the sneaky Kaid.
You're correct there. It's a different approach. However, I do not think that Na'Vi, or rather Virtus.Pro, by seeing the mirror, was going to be like, alright, we're not going to take control at all about piano, because they do bring that sledge, right? And that is going to be given away, that they will be taking piano and antechamber and bathroom, no matter what. It is key to the setup, it's key to the execute. You need to open up these verticals, make sure no one is behind pillar, no one is behind the white fan, just to get yourself some ground to eventually push in for that defuse plant. Now, of course, there is no mirror window, and that means you don't have to deal with these little red canisters that are popped on the back of them. So you do not have to find those angles. Instead, you will have to find those electric claws to try and open up on the site. There is no Kali, there is no Tetcher on the board, so it will be really hard to do so as a wild C4 gets tossed out. They do seem to be aware of the fact where Blur is.
Well, if you're curious about how Na'Vi are going to play it, there's a C4 out window, and there goes Joe. Milon gets one, and, well, Shockwave finds a second. As those two gunners, I said, they're going to be important to watch how they play. Don't play the first round. Instantly locked down with the third for good measure, and VP haven't even entered the building yet. Very easy picks across this top floor, and now it's theirs to take control of. Admin has fallen into their favor, and it's down to Kenny and Saves to be able to try and lock down on the basement. But we are only just passing that 2-minute mark, and we have only one Na'Vi player left. If there was a catastrophe to open this game, you're watching it.
I would call this suboptimal, the way it's going currently. There's no way that Saves is going to be able to bring this back because it pops out of smoke, and there's just so much time. And as Pasha gets that final shot in, Saves will drop dead on the ground, and it is going to be Virtus.Pro to pick up a very quick first round right here. And you're like, wow, how did that happen? Well, they were just repelling. They knew that there were people roaming upstairs. They just put up some angles, they put up some gun, some lines of sight, some bullet holes maybe even, and they just shepherded them throughout the map, throughout the top floor, making sure they all walk into those angles that they were holding, and they were able to pick up 3 kills as a result on that top floor, and 1 near the yellow stairs of Kendra, I believe that was. It was trying to make amends, and then everything falls apart. So now you're Na'Vi, your roam completely got taken apart without you even noticing or realizing what was going on, and the second round comes. What are you going to do? Are you going to roam even harder? Or are you going to be even more passive now in your roam? Or like you're going to not roam at all? Like there's multiple options. That round definitely must not have been pleasant for them.
Hyper-aggression sometimes leads to hyper-fast rounds, and unfortunately that one went away from Na'Vi. But they're opting for a very different play in place now as they set themselves up with the possibility of holding onto Bobby Orcs. Well, that hatch that is in the very small cubby just by the open double door can be absolutely beastly and terrifying if used properly, and alongside the potential of Kendra with a C4-2, depending on where he decides to set himself up, could also be something that starts to dictate the possibility of around here. It seems like they're setting themselves up for a little bit more of a stoic top-heavy hold, which is the standard. They have reinforced the hatch there, just enough projectile to stop the drop down into that circular desk where we'll often see the default plant, but they have the possibility to head up from the basement into that situation. So there are little tweaks and changes that might keep them guessing and offers the possibility and terror of manipulation. Either way, it's down to Virtus.Pro to see if they can repeat previous excellent showing.
Drone right there coming in. Joe will be able to not take it out. Never mind. The drone will live and will continue to spot. As finally now the gun has been given away, but you do see all these repels right now, and the pressure is immediately on. Joe, however, will be able to find the first kill. So Shockwave will drop down onto the ground before Joe gets taken out by Rask, who was on the connected window. Still good for Na'Vi though. You lost a Jaeger, yes, but his utility is one that you place at the start of the round. So nothing really lost there except for a gun, while Shockwave still had 2 stuns and 2 impacts in his pocket that no longer will be able to be used.
Doki is not playing as aggro on the top floor to try and get a bit of revenge for the firefight, but as you said, you compare this round with previous. We have most of our Na'Vi players still standing, and they've got an even body count, and we're well past that 2-minute mark compared to before, where at this point the round was already over. Rask after making their way steadily over the top floor and opening up all the angles by Visa Stairs to make sure they have the eyes all the way down to the prize and cut off any potential of rotation. As we said before, it's a big rotate map, and Doki is almost caught as he makes a movement back into the site. That's a dock though, he's in and he stims himself, and it doesn't really matter. Rask pushes down yellow stairs and is able to cut him off at the pass before he can get himself back to his feet.
Good thinking right here from the likes of Virtus.Pro. They have people ready to respond wherever the need may be. And as there is one still inside of the bathroom, you saw that the challenge was attempted to be brought to Rask after the trade came in, after the dock was taken out, but quickly rotating back up. But now Saves playing in the bathroom. You also see one playing near the benches. I believe that is going to be Blur in that corner indeed. Just waiting for someone to drop down the spiral stairs and maybe waiting for someone to be peeking from Yoda. They're hoping that they are going to be able to find at least one to even out the men count again, because so far VP is leading both in round count and in men count right now, and they got to make sure that they stop that quickly. You do not want to get this one, well, go out of hand, you know, like it did with BDS when it ended up in an 07. Now we want to do better than that.
I would say they're definitely off to a better start. 30 seconds and 3 of them still standing. They've been able to put a fight against what happened in the first round. A quick lesson and a quick learn, and there's Blur to make a quick move on the man trying to enter from the bottom of spiral stairs. The swing on the window is slowed by the smoke canister that keeps him holding his breath and just outside for now. 15 seconds passes and Pasha sprints down the spiral stairs as slowly as he can. As weird as a way to put that, you're running out of time, and Milan's trying to run the diffuser down onto the ground. There is no real cover there, and there's the swing, but it hits the statue, saved by Art, and the artwork actually comes through in response. The headshots don't drop, but it doesn't matter, because the players do instead. Second story control falls to Kendra in a post-plant situation. The pings are there, but it's a 1 versus 3, and they've gone outside. They have Overwatch, and you have no quick rotation. That hatch we mentioned earlier is coming back to bite you a little bit, so you're going to have to head to the windows and not see any sights. WTG caps the head, caps the round, and caps 2-0 to Virtus.Pro.
Kendra was playing on the basement right there, had the hatches open. Look at that one tap, by the way. Beautifully played there, beautiful shot. But I heard the C4 coming in. I heard the Nitro going through, and they were able to let it detonate as well, but not a single point of damage was being done. And I'm wondering, was that a miscall coming in? Did they not know exactly where the plant was going down, or what was going on? You know what I mean? Like, it exploded, it happened, and somehow not a kill. Did they know? Because it was a pretty default plant, if I'm correct. Like, I thought it was just in the door opening. Yeah, it wasn't the door opening. So did they see for the circle desk then instead? I'm not quite sure.
So we're just going to have a very quick pause, as the game has to be quickly opened by one of the players. Unfortunately, they're having a little bit of a problem, and they've opened in the wrong form. They meant to choose Vulcan. And didn't. Just a very quick pop over to make sure their frames are up. I will say this time, actually, because yesterday when we were casting the road game, the Leon clips, amazing. But we don't see those on the clean feed. So I actually have the program feed open now.
I have the same thing, actually.
Because the clips, they're going to come from Doki. It's apparently it's Doki cam today.
Is Doki fan
Yeah,
cam?
it's Doki fan cam today. So
All
if
right.
Salty's there, get ready.
He's going to have a wonderful day here today. He's going to be getting so much content if Doki's going to be showing up on that.
Yeah, we won't, unfortunately, probably get the audio until later. And I guess it depends if, we start seeing some big round wins and clutches. But yesterday it was Leon cam. Today is Doki cam. I've been told. Hey.
All right. Is there anybody from VP, or you're not sure? Like,
I'm not sure. I've only been told by the producers that we have Doki cam today. Hey, but let's not just talk about Doki. Let's talk about how those first 2 rounds went as we wait for Saves to get back into the game on the correct build. 2-0, but it was a little bit closer, and I think it's fair to say you can't really be further than a flawless within a minute, but they were able to pull something back, Na'Vi. Can they build on that now?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, they had a pretty decimating first round coming up against them, where literally everything they tried was being picked apart within the minute, and only leaving 1 man left on site. They are going back to the bottom floor again. However, Garage Cafeteria will be the site. And this is when we truly get to see how Na'Vi will adapt to what was being brought by VP in the previous round. Because back then, remember, we had one on the copy room window, we had one on the office window, and we had one near administration. So there was 3 people up on Repel. We were able to get, well, 3 kills quite quickly within that first minute and make that 4 when they managed to get one onto the yellow stairs as well. So Na'Vi might want to just tuck themselves in a little bit more, not run around as blindly as they did. Assume that every window would have a VP player on it.
Let's see how they alter and change their ideals of what they want to do here. And bring up the Mozzie to try and apply a different level and a different environment and play towards controlling the information game. And to be fair, see, we didn't get the true look into how those pre-placed drones work, but we saw the work that was done, and Virtus.Pro did it all on the top floor within the opening 30 seconds. Now, though, they have a little bit more to try and buffer back. They're still playing quite an aggressive game where they're moving and manipulating the top floor. There's a lot of bodies up there. They know that they can waste some time and try and waste some heads with the doubling team of Doki and Blur, but at the same time, they have slightly less presence on the windows. They have a little bit more presence towards the site, and they're making sure that they aren't losing these gunfights so quickly. Okay, we saw a man swing on a window, but we saw him swing on a window and not die this time.
It's a great start. Like, we're only 10 seconds away from the mark where 4 people basically were dead in the round for Na'Vi, and so far we still have a 5v5 situation going on. As a C4 gets blown up, that turns into a 5v4. That's the entry for Na'Vi. And Pasha, that is now out of play. That is going to be a sledge that can no longer hammer up the entirety of piano and anti-chamber, and that is going to be helping Na'Vi a lot in the late round.
Wow, Virtus.Pro, they've suffered the opening loss twice in a row now, and there's nobody to quickly pick back as they were able to in the previous round. So it's a little bit of a reconciliation, a rebuilding, and what can they do to try and get a bit of revenge? There is Doki, stuck now in the bathroom, and there's pressure coming from yellow as well. We can see Zephyrs making sure that there's nobody just underneath. Shockwave has the ability to apply some pressure here directly, but it seems like they're waiting for a bit more support to come before they make that final push. And it's the man on the window with the diffuser, Milon. He wants to try and get in, add some counter, add some anchor towards the hammer and the anvil. It's going to hit the opposite side. The explosion starts to rain through. They try and catch him with a C4, try and find his way out, and doesn't. Piano is where it falls to Milon as he plays the sweet, beautiful music of putting bullets into Doki's head.
At the moment that Shockwave was opening up the bathroom wall right there, you saw Doki laying down on that hatch. He wanted to be playing sneaky there, but then the phone call came in and he realized, well, that is not going to be happening. I will have to move. I will have to get into a different position now. And as he did that, he was picked up as every angle was being covered up there by Virtus.Pro. And that brings us back in that 4v4 spot. They have managed to open up the breach, and that means they are able to be starting to push now for an actual default plan to be coming through. Of course, there will be a Maestro cam most likely underneath that white van that could stop them, but there's also the Elder of Joe that just takes down Milon and takes down Shockwave. 2 kills quickly coming up right here, going for a third, but that one will not land.
Now then, with only 15 seconds left, they've got to start trying to apply the pressure to the site themselves. WTG and Rask, only a little bit of health on the Dokkaebi, but she's looking to try and offer some support as Rask goes for the big rotation to try and get his hands on the diffuser. There is a body above and 2 on the side itself. They have this pretty much locked down. Na'Vi, they're able to take the man on the door, and they don't even need the last. They find their first round.
Right. They have it. The first round already improved compared to the scoreline they were able to put up against BDS. And now going up to lobby press again. They're going to try... Oh, no, actually, we're going to split site. Never call the site too quick.
Never do it.
Might still change. There's still time. Will they do it? All right. No, we're staying. Okay, we're staying. Archive Stellars not deciding to go for lobby press again, and that means we're going to the split site. Checking the amount of C4s that could be available. So far, I only see 1. 2. There we go. All right. There you have it. The Pulse coming out. That's an operator you would like to see on this site.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, Pulse on Consulate in general, it's always something that gets talked about how powerful it can be, and in the correct hands, let's see if it can obviously make some work here. With those C4s, we've had a bit of success already, and it just kind of leads into that gameplay. I think Na'Vi's read, okay, well, you know, they're falling for this a little bit, or we can start catching them like this. Let's play against those expectations. Let's push this in and push them back against it. Also, when you're looking at a split site, you're looking at a place where a lot of teams will hold it underneath, and they'll open up as much of this floor as possible, as we might start to see Joe doing, or just some little precise, precarious angles. So if they try and get a plant down, you loop a C4 over, you either buy yourself some time, or better yet, buy yourself a body.
Yeah, you see a couple of them being opened up right next to that window, one of the teller's windows. That is, of course, to try and challenge someone jumping in, as it's almost impossible to try and contest that as a attacker jumping through a window. You see a couple of other holes being opened up, which would be allowing Kendrew and Blur to toss over those C4s if they really need to, for example, hit the desks. Because if you're planting on the desk and you get a C4 tossed underneath you, that will not do any damage, as the desk will block it off for you. And Rask right here, just minding his own business, suddenly getting a bit of pressure down from two Na'Vi players in the garage.
Saves heard the drone and went for the drop before he pulled off. Obviously, Shockwave suffered from the window spray of an unknown Na'Vi player, but to be honest, all of them are possible of playing that kind of game. They love being aggro on this map. Rask is trying to get a bit of revenge, but it's Joe that gets the opener against WTG yet again. Na'Vi have got the opener, but they've only been able to turn one of those into success. Can they double down? They almost do, but don't. Milon gets Doki and saves the life of Shockwave just in the nick of time. He has eyes down towards the possibility of another body and another person, but for now it's building, recuperating, and see if they can pinch just one more. There's a lot of loose rung that's happening right now across this bottom floor. They haven't pulled themselves all the way back in towards the Archives cellar half, but hey, as I say it, they do it, and now they found themselves back towards the bottom of Spiral.
If I have to give a bit of a summary right now for what's going on with Na'Vi, yes, they have one round, but in the first round and this current round, they lost players purely because of a lack of information. Right there, you see another player being picked up, Milon just holding the Visa stairs, and that is something that you cannot really let happen in a final like this. At a third place decided like this, you do not want to lose members unnecessarily due to a lack of information. Doki wanted to go for the peak right there. He knew where one player was, just wasn't aware of a second one being in the building already. And right there, you just saw it peek the Visa stairs and got picked up for it.
Wow, a little bit of breathing room now for Virtus.Pro for them to try and build something and put it together aggressively. They obviously don't have themselves hitting heads against Mozzie, so they can make their drone work and make the self-destruction work too. It's, yeah, up he goes. Saves, heads to the top of Visa, and he's going to try and strike while the iron is, well, hot and unpredictable. But it seems like all the bodies have dropped down. There is one, and it's a free kill. Now he's on the second story, and they're well aware, so they're going to try and pinch it. Milon wants to put the diffuser down, but realizes it might not be as safe as previously thought. Kendrew's still busying away underneath with the C4. Milon tries it again, tries to bait the C4, but doesn't quite get the confirmation. There is one, though. Confirmed, dropped, and Joe finds himself in the afterlife. Pasha drops down two to try and find Kendrew in the midst of the hell, but doesn't quite get it. The heartbeat's there, and no, it's no longer as he drops him. Finds one more at the bottom of Spiral. It's Virtus.Pro that get the final two.
Saves a really good flank right there. And you also saw the timing perfectly on the Pulse just jumping into Archives at the moment the drop came through, able to pick up that kill, but unfortunately for Na'Vi, not going to be able to pick up that round. As well, VP still had plenty of members left, able to go for those gunfights, and were able to win them in their parts as well. And that puts us up to a 1-3 scoreline so far. VP is leading, and they're starting to expand on it. And it's up to Na'Vi right now to try and stall that, to try and get more than one round in. It's already better than they did last time against BDS, but they surely do not want to go out in a 1-5 scoreline again.
I mean, every single first map, I think, from all of these series has been...
It's been a blowout.
Yeah, it's been pretty heavily sided towards one team, and it's down to Na'Vi to try and break that curse on the opening map of the entire tournament, where it was a blowout against them on this map. So, it's, you know, it's that kind of... Is it a curse? Are we speaking it into reality? Or can they break it? I'm curious to see if there's any changes between the lobby hold from before and the lobby hold that they want to put up. Obviously, you know, it's one of those situations where when that hatch is reinforced, the one that is so often used to try and get control and keep control, it's soft for now. I'm curious to see if that gets played, if they try and see what the approach is, if they get it reinforced now, or if they leave it as something they can pop up a little bit later. Either way, it puts you in a situation of, are they going to try and adapt themselves? That might have been Doki just reinforcing at the end there.
Sure,
was.
yeah, there you have it. I was gonna
Keeping
say,
it up.
like, the thing is, you're using a Oryx, right? So the Oryx has the opportunity to jump through and jump up hatches, something we have seen in the previous round. So he was able to pick up 1 kill with it. Now, there is an opportunity, if you lose the top floor, that you can just go back into either a piano to try and go up, or you... Oh, and directly slice. It might not work as Joe gets one. Or you go into Veto and you jump up, and there would have been the opportunity of Blur of retaking vertical control, but they don't seem to need it now as they are holding firm, picking up the first kill into Pasha.
Joe has got 3 of the 5 opening kills so far, and well, against a different member of Virtus.Pro each time. He seems like he's thirsty for aggression on these windows, and that's when he's at his best. Quickly moved onto the role of the Jaeger to see if he can find some success, as Doki, who otherwise hasn't really been able to hit too much so far, is back on the dock to try and keep himself going. Now, the pressure's coming to this top floor as they dangle from windows and see if they can push the bodies out. The drones fervently make their way, as does a body around long desk. WTG looks for a big firefight with a bigger gun. Blur suffers most of it. A quick frag grenade is going to buy them a few seconds as Milan and Rask offer some support from Visa Stairs and the backside of admin. Now, with this long desk as a no man's land, Joe is the first one to suffer the stings of the barbed wire in the middle, but not enough to kill him, and the doctor's still in. Blur is no longer, though. Shockwave drops them across the long desk and finally has a little bit of a grasp onto this top floor.
Every single time it's these long angles that are being used to take out these Na'Vi players. Just the angles they're unaware of. Sometimes in the window, sometimes they're already in the building. As Rask right now is having that top floor control. It's going to be Kendra that is debating whether or not to drop through the hatch. No longer has a C4 available. There is no longer a single C4 available anymore, actually. So that denial will not be able to come as Doki drops down from the window on the yellow stairs. Somehow will be able to get it down onto Milan. The question is, will he be aware? And as he is going outside to secure the job and to finish his job, he is aware indeed. The kill will be coming in, however, the Infiltrate will be there. Make that a double, make that a triple. That's a quad for Shockwave right now. Only needing to find 1 more for the ace. And it is going to be Kendra, who's rotating all the way upstairs, hoping that he's going to be able to stop this defuse from happening, hoping that it's going to be able to stop the bleed, because this round is getting out of hand quickly.
Yet again, Kendra in a 3 versus 1, but the diffuser isn't down as of yet. There is somebody not too far away, and they both seem slightly aware, but not fully there, and there it is. WTG is the next to suffer. The diffuser's still cold outside, and they've only just been able to pick it up. They've got to do a mad dash to get themselves back in behind the piano to get the swing. Concerned about the hatch drop, fair enough. Shockwave watches and pre-fires the angle to make sure he can't get anywhere close. Rask sticks it, plays it. Kenny has to just make 1 shot land, but it doesn't. It's Shockwave with the ace!
Chef's kiss, as we would say. Shockwave just able to pick them up left, right, and I don't know how he even got into piano, but somehow he managed to pick up 3 single kills from that one. Just from entering piano. I don't know where he came from, but he was there, and that's what matters. Manages to pick up 4, and then eventually 5, finishing the job, carrying Virtus.Pro over the finish line for that one for this round. Puts us up at 1-4. And again, it's seeming like Na'Vi is losing control of this map slowly but steadily.
Wow. Confidence is a little bit more consistent, I will say, from the guns of Na'Vi. They seem more into this map than they were previously. Obviously, the score is still slipping further and further away from them, but a 4-2 split, I think, would be pretty balanced and pretty fair. Virtus.Pro, they've just been that little step ahead this time round. They were able to get some very good momentum earlier on, and obviously that round went to the way of an ace, and it's the heroics of Shockwave. They're able to scratch another mark on the Virtus.Pro board, but at the same time, it's little collapses from Na'Vi. As you said and questioned, where did Shockwave come from, and how is he able to get so much damage done in such a short space of time? I guess it was a little bit of a blurry bit of miscommunication. Either way, Na'Vi, you've got 1 more round to try and shut that out on your defense.
Gotta make sure it doesn't happen again. I mean, we have seen crazier comebacks happen from this team. We've seen them being behind 1-5 and being able to bring it all the way back. I believe that was also on this very map. But are they going to be able to do it again, if that would be the case? Or are they going to be trying to make sure it will be 4-2? It gives you a little bit of an extra buffer space for when you're going over to the attack. And yes, of course, this map is maybe a bit more balanced out towards attack/defense. Compared to a theme park or a cafe where defense would be more in favor. So it's not that crazy if a team goes well on the attack right here. It happens quite often lately. But you gotta make sure that you can match down your own attack as well. Because if you let that happen and you're not gonna be able to step it up on your attack yourself, or if you're not gonna be able to at least match it, then you're in big trouble.
Oh, Hot Drone's ahead of the bottom of Rask to make sure he doesn't get dropped by a C4 through the floor as before. But the story we'll tell ever more is how Virtus.Pro might be able to do a little bit more as they push their way across the floor and try and find themselves down Visa's stairs, swinging with the potential of offering some support. There's another drone, there's another bit of info, and there's Shockwave and Pasha offering the other pinches across the rest of the story. Now, slow and steady clear down as they steadily make their way towards the ground and see if they can pinch and pincer anybody there else. Might be making a nearby sound. Doki is the one on bench that is in a little bit of a stuck situation, I believe. Or is that the floor below? No, it's stood up on the pipes. It's always tough to call when they're there.
And a little bit of an elevated level indeed,
yeah,
just to make sure that the normal crosshair placement wouldn't get there, but it messes up with our view every now and then, but that's okay. As long as he's going to be making up for it with some nice action and some nice Doki defend chems, then we will forgive him for tricking us like that. As Pasha opening up the floor. I mean, that's your own drone taken now, I believe, by that bridging charge. Doesn't really help. 60 seconds left. You need every single piece of information in a 5v5 situation with the final execute about to be coming in. And VP just having the breach open right now. We'll be dealing with the shield as well, as there is still an ADS. It does mean that they are setting themselves up to go for the final frag-heavy execute, it seems like.
Well, it's the most reserved that we've seen Na'Vi play so far, and I think the only time we've seen all 10 players alive in the final minute. But with 40 seconds left, the onus is on Virtus.Pro to see if they can actually try and pick apart some bodies. Steady second floor destruction leads to not success, as Joe is the first to strike, tries the double but doesn't quite make it work. Milon, however, makes it himself. Swings round to the back of the white van, and Shockwave also picks up saves in the meantime. Kendra and Blur, all that's left on this basement hold yet again. There's an echo drone, there's a bit of intel, there's another 7 seconds that you've bought yourself, but when you're this close to the wire, that's a very precious bit of land. Swings onto the door of the kitchen and gets one. There is an idea of where the planter is, but you're a second too late. And unfortunately, even further, Virtus.Pro 5-1.
Virtus.Pro clearly in the lead right here, and before we find out whether or not Na'Vi is going to be able to match that, let's go to a quick break.
Welcome back, and we're back in a sticky situation for Na'Vi. They've obviously lost 5 of their defenses on Consulate. It's not their map, and it definitely wasn't their map the other day. And Virtus.Pro, it seems like they've read that very well. They've shown up, and they've been able to take a lot of control of the space in the play. And even when they've been on the back foot, which was most of the rounds, Joe was 4 of 6 of getting the opening body down. So it's just that kind of missteps and missed moments where Virtus.Pro have read it and been able to have these sparks of success.
I believe the statistic is that when your team gets the opening kill, it has a 70% chance of converting it into an actual round. Now, I'm not a mathematician, but I can tell you that that is currently the case for Na'Vi.
You're a mathematician. I liked that. I saw the tweet that said, I like Apps casting because it makes me feel like nerds can cast or whatever.
Nerds have a place in
yeah, that was it. They said that nerds have a... How can someone question whether nerds have a place in esports? It's professional video games. Like,
I mean, I'm happy that yeah,
we can't all be as cool as the OXG players. I'm sorry to say this.
But yeah, that's what I say. I'm not a mathematician, but Na'Vi's statistics are not currently living up to 70%.
Ooh, wow. WTG is living up to dropping down. Blur, another body, another misstep, and another misplay. And it's suffering on the fate of these very aggressive windows. Pasha is looking for angles down towards benches beneath to make sure they have a bit of an eye, but the drone that catches him in kitchen might lead to the death from the connector, and there it is. Doki finds Pasha and finds a bit of revenge. Rask is under pressure now from 2 sides. Will potentially take the drop, but Shockwave is actually going to offer some support. There's the drone. There's the spray. But Shockwave has already bought you enough time. It was this other body that was sneaking in around the back stairs. Look at all of this destruction, though, that's happened on the top floor. We have so much room left to go for Na'Vi and Virtus.Pro. They just go, well, let's play back. We don't have to keep pushing them.
That is something I really like. As soon as you manage to get the advantage in your way, just drop back to the side and let them come to you, because they will still have to go for clears. They will still have to drone every single room out. They will still have to face check these common angles and make sure that it's actually safe to travel through. And that will cost them still at least 30 seconds if that goes for an entire floor. As now we only have 2 people left, they surely need to be making sure that they are making the best out of the 2 guns they have, if they want to be making this round go their way, because otherwise we'll find ourselves in a 5-round map point scenario for Virtus.Pro, because they would already be on 6. That would be a very quick map that we're heading towards right here. This is up to Milan right now to go for the next gunfight onto those stairs. He's going to be taking some damage up to Joe, and eventually will land that headshot. It's only up to Kendra now.
Kendra in a 4 versus 1 seems to be a familiar story. Is going to try and maybe survive stuck in spiral. There's at least one. Shockwave turns away at the worst part of the time, but hey, here's Rask to try and step up. You lost your 1. Here's my rule of siege. I'm going to see if I can win it. There's spray, there's pressure, there's a double for Kendra. He suffered on the other side, and I can only imagine the comms as he double tapped the body, but there's still 2 more bodies. You've got to tap your way through, Kendra. 30 seconds. Keeps back round towards the potential of trying to find one from the already opened hatch. Milan is aware, and a C4 in pocket could be a big bit of utility, but WTG isn't going to let it happen. That's a very sad sight to see as the body hangs limply, but unfortunately on a 6-1, it seems like Na'Vi's chances of a redemption of Consulate hang just as limp.
The moment you were going for the hatch, it was already over, because there's only one angle he was going to be able to get from that. That was directly onto the smoke. Now he lost that gunfight, but if he would have won it, it would have been a 1v1 situation. But as soon as you drop through, the other angle was being watched. There was no way that he would be coming out on top of that gunfight right there, and that was guaranteed to be around for Virtus.Pro. That will leave us right now in that 1-6 scenario. Yes, it is better than the 7-0 that Na'Vi was able to deliver against BDS, but they're still not going to be happy. And then you're thinking about the map, Veto, right? Like, they could have just removed this map, but the map they chose to remove was Villa. And the reason for that being is that they lost it to Virtus.Pro 7-1, I believe, in Stage 2. And they lost it 7-3 to Virtus.Pro again in Stage 1. So they already lost to VP twice. So are you going to be going and bet on the fact that Villa might be brought by your opponent right there? Or are you going to be removing the map that you just went 7-0 on earlier in the tournament? Like, you know, it could have been an off day for the reason that you went 7-0, or it could have been that your strats just don't work out. They'll know now. It's probably the setup and the way they play it that doesn't really work out, and other teams are able to quickly dismantle it.
Wow, Milan currently sitting on a 10-2. Milan was the player who, when he came into the Virtus.Pro roster, everyone was... Well, Kendra has already taken a huge amount of damage. The ammo almost peaked. It's going for something bold here. But yeah, Milan was the player who came in and then had such a phenomenal season. But then it hasn't really had the same effect in terms of those huge numbers. Here, though, 5-0 KD is trying to rival what Striker pulled off the other day. Okay, back to Kendra on an Amaru, trying something bold with a diffuser, but suffers from a peak, has really taken the wind out of the wings of flying your way through a window. Milan then suffers in the firefight inside. Console is looking to try and keep that pressure hot and keep it on the body on the window, but Na'Vi, they're not quite with the same pace that you maybe expected from an Amaru push.
This is a thing, right? I really like what Milan is doing right here. He's not receiving any direct pressure as we see Pasha jumping out for a great double kill, taking down both Doki and Joe before Sage is able to find 1 kill of his own. But that is going to be the advantage right here that VP might need to close off this map and put this up into a very quick 1-0. Again, a map where Na'Vi is being absolutely demolished by their opponents. Luckily, this time it's not going to be one player has a bigger KD and KPR than the entire team combined. But Na'Vi still not really able to find their groove on Consulate here.
Yeah, unfortunately on that run out, the Scotsman was sent flying, and now he's sunken down with what seems like the hopes of Na'Vi. They're still locked in with some possibility here. A 3 versus 4 isn't completely out of the water, but they still don't have a presence inside the building. They're looking and struggling to find the first pick that gives them some comfort, but look at how Virtus.Pro are so aggressively pushing themselves back in. Milon still alive inside Consul, but still suffering, and, well, saves, puts him out of that. Brings it to a 3 versus 3 and catches him on the potential of the swing round to the rotation on the back of the white stairs. Now, though, with Rask and Shockwave both still playing very aggressive, Pasha has himself stacked up and set near the back of benches to make sure he can respond to either side. If it hits towards the piano or if it hits towards the lobby, he's there to offer the support that's needed, but it might not be so needed. Blur gets dropped above, and Vertical stays in the hands of the Smoke, who can just keep it locked down. 45 seconds, 2 versus 2. Kendrew, a bit of revenge for the ways this site went against him before, is able to find one more body. Amaru with the pace in the 2 versus 2 and 30 seconds on the board. A re-evaluation, but still no true evaluation. The swing in, and Pasha wants to swing back. There's an SMG, there's a detection, and there is only saves left to try and keep the hope of Consulate alive.
Many might wonder why he actually went for the repel in rather than the Amaru hook. That's of course because you can return fire, but there's no way you can return fire to a Shockwave that jumps out onto the actual balcony, as right now Saves recovers that diffuser, has 10 seconds left on the clock and a 1v2 to fight. There's no way he can go for kills right here, so he needs to go for the plant. Takes Shockwave down to about 1 HP, but he will be taken down nonetheless. It is Pasha that gets the final kill. It's Virtus.Pro that are going to be able to set themselves up to a 1-0 advantage quite early on in the day. They're going to be pushing themselves up to map number 2, feeling quite confident after playing against Na'Vi right here on Consulate.
Yeah, it was a very strong opener there for Virtus.Pro. They said, we want to go back to this map that you struggled on, and they kind of showed why. We'll have a bit of a break before we hit the desk to find out more, and before we head into the second map of this best of 3. See you shortly.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. What a fast map 1. I gotta say, you run along and get yourself a snack and you're back, and whoa, it's a 5-1 already. Gio, I gotta say, it looked like VP had all engines running on max since moment 1.
VP looked like they weren't giving Na'Vi the same kind of respect that they did to G2 yesterday. And, I mean, it totally worked. Look at that scoreline. One of the things with VP is they just looked so much more aggressive. A lot of the positioning they used was so much further forward. They were not afraid to do anything. I mean, in round number 7, one of the things that really stood out to me was the way that Milon on the mirror was positioned down in Garage. He was right at the bottom of yellow stairs, ready to take anything that could come down there. He wasn't set back. He wasn't waiting for the attackers to come to him. He was taking the fight to them. And we saw that a number of times. Shockwave, Pasha got so many multi-kills, all because of a similar thing.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want to take it back to something we talked about a little bit earlier, Joe and Pasha are highlight players that we wanted to mention. Joe, interestingly, had a lot of opening engagements, and he was in 6 of them, won 4 of them, but guess what? All 4 rounds where Joe found the opening pick, his team lost the round. So Na'Vi's not necessarily being able to capitalize on Joe's aggression. Now, take that as you will, whether you want to blame Joe for perhaps it was an unnecessary contribution, or you blame Na'Vi for not playing around it, but I think it's clear here that Na'Vi, they don't quite have it set on Consulate. If you look at the average opening kill time, it was very, very very early in the round, 2.5 minutes in, was the average time in this game that the opening kill was found across both teams. And I think it just goes to show, like you were saying, that this was a very aggressive game on both sides, and Virtus.Pro was just so much better at handling that. And you can see that with 5 attacks won.
You're winning gunfights. It's still Rainbow Six Siege, a first-person shooter. And so many times you talked about it, even last weekend and this weekend. You got to win your gunfights. Now, my question to you, Gio, is will Shockwave ever not play Zofia?
I mean, if he doesn't need to change, then why does it matter? This is one of the things. You've got to figure out what's working for you, and that's apparently what's working for them. I think that it's kind of clear that, at least off the back of that map, and we have spoken about how the next map we expect to be more towards Na'Vi, so I don't want to act as if Virtus.Pro have just completely got this already, but it looked like Na'Vi were more trying to adapt around what Virtus.Pro were bringing, and that not only shows confidence in Virtus.Pro's decision-making that they have for themselves, but also you can kind of see, we were just looking at the scoreboard right there, the highest number of kills on Na'Vi was from Kendrew. He's usually their hard support, and you've got Doki at the bottom with 2 kills. He went 2 and 8, I think. And he was one of those players who, when we were referencing consistency for both of these squads at the beginning of the broadcast, he is one of those players from Na'Vi that really need to see that. So, you know, if Virtus.Pro have got some operator lineups, some decision making that works for them, great, because right now it's Na'Vi that seems like they have to fix those issues.
Then James, since Gio's just ending on the point about Na'Vi, do you think that Na'Vi come into this series understanding, you know what, maybe Console is just this throwaway map and we have to warm up to get through the rest?
Well, let's be honest here, Na'Vi was never going to win Consulate. It's not their map. They got 7-0'd by BDS yesterday. I think they're going to be happy that they at least found one round this time, yeah? To me, it's just about the players' form. It's about not getting in their heads. Like, you mentioned Kendrew's at the top of the scoreboard there, but a lot of that, like, he was in 3 1v3s in a row across 3 rounds. A lot of those kills for Kendrew are consolation frags. You can't read into that. It is Doki, though, that I do want to mention, because in the game against BDS, he was the top-rated player. He had 2 1vx clutches, and overall, he performed really well. You go into this game, you're starting pretty cold. I'm getting concerned. Like, we need to see all of Na'Vi being consistent across the board, because Na'Vi have a lot of really talented players, but players that can't always reliably and consistently provide the results. So it's just a question of making sure that map 1 doesn't get in their heads whatsoever, and they can bounce back from map number 2. And I will say I'm confident they can, because we saw that against BDS just the other day.
Yeah, what's the change on Clubhouse then, Gio? What's the expectation? VP, do they come into this more comfortable even than they were on Consulate?
I don't think so. I mean, this is Na'Vi's map pick. They clearly feel a lot more comfortable on it. And I think Virtus.Pro definitely could take Clubhouse. It's not one of those maps where you turn around and you say, this is absolutely not the map for this team. But they didn't win it against G2 yesterday. And because of the fact that SI is upcoming, I don't think they're going to bring anything really different or any really spicy strats out for it, because they can't afford to give the game away. So I'm not sure about it. Could go either way, but I think especially Na'Vi will feel a lot more comfortable. I don't know how much extra VP will give.
They beat BDS on it. That's pretty comfortable, as exactly what you're saying, Gio. James, how do you come back from this? Because we know how effective BDS are on the map. Na'Vi beat them there. G2 trashed VP on Clubhouse. Expectations?
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally with you. Like I said at the start of this map, Veto, this is a situation where you're probably going to see both teams win their own maps. And to reinforce that, we saw the stats up on the screen there. That looks may be deceiving. It said that VP had a 50% win rate, but you look at some of those games that they've played, right? And yesterday, they only won a single defense round on Clubhouse against G2. That's not the kind of form you can be taking into today. Like, VP have got to really step it up and look completely different on Clubhouse compared to what they were yesterday. Otherwise, they just have no chance against Na'Vi. So as much as I'm looking to Na'Vi to really make a comeback here and not let that map 1 situation affect them, I'm also looking at VP to show that yesterday that was just a fluke and they can actually hold their own on club, especially on the defense.
So the operator bans that we had actually in the semifinals were Heartbreachers and Thatcher. In the G2 VP game, both Ace and Maverick were banned. Do you expect to see that again here, Gio?
I mean, potentially, right? Because, Maverick band's kind of popular at the moment. Well, my band's kind of popular at the moment. That's who VP went for in their bans on Clubhouse yesterday. Unless there is some specific operator that they decide is going to be better for them to ban against Na'Vi. But I think for Virtus.Pro and their playstyle, and this goes for a lot of teams, it's probably better to stick to what they think will affect and make better their playstyle rather than worrying too much about what the opponent's going to be doing.
Yeah, I do think you're right. I think you're probably going to see the Maverick taken off. It's one of the most banned operators on Clubhouse for both these teams. Na'Vi probably going to get rid of the Qayyid, though, I think. Yep. They tend to ban that. They banned it against BDS and Empire both recently, so I think they'll get rid of that. If Hibana's going to be on the table, though, I really hope Doki can take that and really, really shine with it, because we've seen what he can do with it in the past.
So, map 3, yes, no, yay, nay. James?
Absolutely. We're going to settle this on Coastline. I can feel it already.
Gio?
Yeah, I totally agree. I want to see it. I want to go to Coastline.
All right, James, Gio, thank you so much. Let's toss it back to our casters as they take it to Clubhouse. Make sure you have your pitches out to Frankfurt, and it's time for it. Fluke, please enjoy.
Map 1, Consulate, we saw BDS destroy Na'Vi. Map 2, Clubhouse, we saw G2 demolish Virtus.Pro. What more can we ask for? Both these teams have been demolished on one of the maps, and both these teams decided to choose the others. So, are we going to see map number 3 flew quickly? Do you think so?
I hope so.
We're going to just continue Milish's questions. All right.
I got a feeling. Well, yeah, we can.
I got a feeling too. This could be a good one. This could be Na'Vi just stepping up like we saw them yesterday. You know, on the second map they come alive and they managed to bring home that map win. Unfortunately for them back then, not the series. But let's get into it. Let's get into Clubhouse, pressing that big old red S button now, and that means we are getting on the way. And the question is, will VP actually improve more than Na'Vi did for Consulate on their Clubhouse?
Do you see Doki got left hanging there a little bit in chat for a second? You better have fun.
What did he say?
You better have fun, and no one responded, so he put K. And then everybody
Now everybody goes there.
Na'Vi versus Virtus.Pro. Yep, as you said and put it succinctly, and as I'm sure everybody kind of expected and saw from the other day, this is 2 maps that went away from each of the relevant teams. They've gone, hey, we can do this, and Na'Vi can do Club. Na'Vi were able to pull Club back. They have some game hit. So I guess it's seeing if they can kind of bring this to the punch, if they can bring this to be delivered. There's a hard destructor off the board. Will it be the old fangled double? No, it's the old fangled. There goes Thatcher. Gone as well. The removal is going to change a little bit of the pace. Hibana not being banned compared to Maverick. It's more common to see Hibana banned nowadays.
Yeah, especially due to the fact that, of course, you can cycle between the amount of X-cards you would like to shoot. You can either go for 2, 4, or 6. Of course, there will always be 2 on the vertical way, and then you can just choose how many sets of 2 you want to shoot. But with that change, it is basically impossible to make sure that Hibana is not opening up the hatches. And if you are a Hibana and you still fail to open up the hatches, then either the enemy team bought like 10 impacts, or you did something wrong.
Judge Arsenal is where we start ourselves set up. They have the possibility of going on to something more kind of controlled. I am curious, obviously, this is Na'Vi's map, and Shockwave, I say Shockwave, I guess he had a lot of showings where he was the whole team last map, but Virtus.Pro have opted to start on their attacks instead.
Yeah, they're starting on the attack. That might have something to do with the way that it went yesterday. Might want to change things up. It might feel like they're better when they start off on the attack, when they can decide to set the pace. I mean, we just saw how effective they were on Cafe as well, just shutting down Na'Vi with all these repels and all these angles that are being set up. And of course, Clubhouse, it leans itself to these kinds of shutdowns as well. Not exactly like Consulate, you don't have that many windows you can repel from, but you can of course take control of the whole kitchen hallway. If you get someone up next to those boxes, you can repel up there. You have a little bit of a pixel you can shoot through, so you can catch any rotation of the main stairs. You can get someone into strip, maybe hold and take care of pool and bar like that. And you can also of course make sure that you take control of CCTV cache in the bedroom and gym, just to make sure that any players playing around that area will be picked up. So there's many opportunities of shutting down these kind of roam games right here that Na'Vi would like to play, and as Doki goes off at the exact wrong moment, he's going to be escaping with his life, but unfortunately for him, will not be able to pick up anyone.
Well, Na'Vi, they had a little bit of a missed story when they were trying to play with their aggression beforehand on Consulate. There's a lot more space on Club, but the stretch that they're playing is a similar play. They have a lot of bodies away from sight. Kendrew, the only one that's buried in a very wide site. There is obviously the chance of doing this tall defense. They have those hatches open to get a very quick rotation down towards the bar if they need to. Joe is already up to find a little bit of real estate a little bit closer to the fire. The drones are steadily making their way, and Rask is the first to actually hit inside. Logistics has fallen, but with Blur, with a bit of intel, Shockwave is going to make sure he can't do the clean rotate. It is yet again this Mexican standoff where they have eyes and angles on each other. There's a jiggle, there's a bit of damage, and there is the jump out from Doki. Rask needs to respond sooner rather than later, and there it is. The pickup against Blur. Doki's not going to opt to take the next firefight, realizes that there'll be more than him upstairs, so let's find somewhere else. But taking care of Shockwave, taking care of Zafir on this push, that's taking care of business.
That's indeed taking care of good business right here. That's impact and stuns potentially gone, and good call right there by Doki of dropping down as Joe right here gets himself into a gunfight. Is he going to be able to win that one? No, he will not. And WTG will stay alive, and with, of course, those Selmas still left to try and deploy and open up these hatches or potentially walls. As Milan already starts that job, deployed a couple of the X-Skyros right there. You see 4 on the hatch. That's what you need to open up a reinforced hatch. C4 rains out, but he's not going to be able to catch anybody, and that means pretty good utility gain right here for VP. They managed to pick up a kill. They wasted a C4, and they opened up the hatch. Second C4 was that a breaching charge? It was a breaching charge. Never mind. So it's profit for VP right here, not taking too much damage from opening up that hatch.
Now, though, the approach is starting to come towards the site, and with a lot of time left on the board, they can still do so much with it. Doki is the first to suffer on the actual push now, as Milan's able to find one more. C4 still in hand, but is pulled away with the ominous threat of above. They can't quite find Saves, who's willing to repeat that and see if he can get a little bit of a body advantage by surprise, but the pressure is from all angles and ideas, and there it goes. Milan gets one more, and leaving Kendrew yet again in a standoff against a pretty fervent and aggressive Virtus.Pro that seems so good at just shutting out the individual men right now. There is the last one. There is a triple from Milan, and there is the first round in Virtus' favor.
Starting off very strong right here on this, well, basically kitchen take, but it didn't really have to enter the site. They had 2 people per angle, right? Like, Saves got spotted out. He starts returning fire, but a second person is joining on almost the same angle, just spraying through that wall, hoping to get some shots in, and they do exactly that. They pick him up, and suddenly that 1 C4 that was left is taken care of, and that means that you would be able to go for an execute, but instead, they are going to open up that hatch. They're continuing slowly. They're continuing strategically. They're not rushing anything as soon as it was a 1v4 situation, because they knew that if you do, you can still lose it out. So they continue like they normally would. Na'Vi, they had a great start. An entry pick, yes, of course, it was responded straight away, but Doki was able to fall back safely. It's just unfortunate that Joe lost the gunfight against WTG. Otherwise, that would have been a Na'Vi round.
Well, let's see if this kind of wide hold stays as a lesson of Na'Vi. It started successful, but got to give credit to Virtus.Pro's collapse there. He really pinched and pulled apart everything that Na'Vi tried to keep a handle and a hold onto, and I'm curious to see if next time we're on the church side if there's anything slightly different in terms of how many bodies they have locked down and shut out before Virtus.Pro begin to pull them apart, or attempt to at least here, though. We find ourselves onto the CCTV hold with, again, a little bit of an extension beneath. It doesn't seem like there's a huge amount to gym as of yet, apart from bodies and the potential of just trying to gun through, and the pairing of Joe and potentially Doki that's stacked up there, but he's gone all the way to strip, and might, well, they'll have definitely seen one, might have heard the second, doesn't quite catch them though. Milan still on a tear from the round before, and Shockwave still the first off the board.
Probably just managed to slip through, as you see right there. Milan had a drone, so they could have been aware of that, but potentially just slipped through in the 1 or 2 seconds that no one was on that actual drone, and it was allowed to pick up a kill onto Shockwave like that. So the entry is there for Joe. Fortunately for VP, the instant reply was going to be there. And yes, you lose out of your Sophia yet again, but in a take that you're currently trying to perform, the Sophia is not the most important character in the game. There's other ways to deal with a Bandit that is Bandit tricky. You still have the Ash. Oh! What? 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 That's a jump scare. This is a horror game that we're currently going into.
Yeah, we're back in one of the Halloween events, it seems like, and unfortunately the one that got the knife there was Na'Vi. Now with a body advantage and a man advantage and a wall advantage too, things are starting to fall around the remaining guns inside the site itself. Doki is playing with a stretch towards Garage and is waiting for anyone to try and approach or even just put a head around the angle, but Virtus.Pro aren't playing that game. They've opted, picked up, and removed themselves from that side and instead started to put and build something more successful towards the construction. Oh no, wait, one loose man, and oh no, wait, Doki's got them. WTG was the only one left on the opposing side, and well, now it's down to Virtus.Pro to see if they can make the push happen. Pasha is going to rotate his way back round outside to offer the anvil to the back of the hammer that is trying to strike from the opposite ends, and with a minute 10 they have so much time again to try and make this happen. Still, Hibana pellets are popping on the opposite side. They have some concern of the possibility of Pasha, but he's not going to throw his life away by jumping up as of yet.
This is it. This is a really good push, actually. Pasha is going to be key in this take because he needs to be able to pick up 1 kill, maybe even 2. And as the flank was going to be attempted by Kendra, he just peeks out, manages to get that kill. Now the repel sound is going to be there again. Blur knows exactly where he is, walks out, gets that kill, and turns it back into a 2v2 situation. Now you have Doki in the key position, playing from the mezzanines, playing from that catwalk, has an opportunity to take them down as they move through, and thus will do so. Gets the first one in the door. C4 is being tossed out as Milan enters the side. He's not able to hit the shots as Doki will be able to be, well, picking up another headshot there, and Na'Vi were able to win their round straight away after they lost the first one.
That was actually how the game started yesterday as well, as the first round went to Virtus.Pro and then pretty much all the others went to G2. So I guess it's down to Na'Vi to try and build on this, try and find something more. They've kept themselves with pace for now. It was great blow for blow as well. The responses from both teams, they seemed to have an idea of what they wanted to do. Virtus.Pro, they were trying to get somebody to act as the buffer and act as the catch-all on the big open wall from behind. Obviously, they've lost Shockwave twice very early, and it's the situation there where the bravery of Na'Vi is to lost someone, okay, Blur, run out and swing on them. And that's what Na'Vi can do so well. They have so many people that have that confidence and have that gun skill to just throw themselves into a situation and usually come out successful. It's how much success that they can kind of build amongst the slight mistakes and, I guess, slight unpreparedness for those maneuvers from Na'Vi that Virtus.Pro might seemingly have sometimes. Here, we find ourselves not going back to church. We're going to instead head to the other top floor site and see if they can lock themselves in the gym and bedroom.
Good call. Just continue the rotation right now. The bottom floor is kind of a flop. You want to maybe talk about or think about another thing that you might be able to do. Just try and gauge what the exact game plan of VP might be.
10 seconds left.
Try and adapt to it as you go on the next round. But now, gym and bedroom is coming up. You just managed to win the top floor hold. And it is not exactly a mirror in gym and bedroom, but it is having some similar perspectives. You have the outside bridge that is often being contested in the form of jacuzzi, and then you have often the teams taking control of Logi and construction to try and hammer back onto the site together with the highway, of course. So, it has a lot of similar aspects. And as you see right here, Kendra does have a cam. They do know where one of these players is. Is he going to be trying to get an angle? Not going to be able to do that from there on.
You see him once.
Does that player will escape?
The moment he's gone. And now Rask is already trying to put some pressure on the inside. They're pinging the wall to kind of give the game away of what they want to do here. And Shockwave has crept his way in. Going to be in the first confrontation yet again, probably. But it's who actually falls this time round. Joe is the one that's offering some pressure here, but actually pulls back as the wall to his left pops open. CC is steadily falling to the hands of Virtus.Pro. They're concerned about a rotation via red, but at the same time, they've got to do something to try and break the stranglehold over the cash side too. Doki has the ability to swing around, drops the drone, and Joe's actually already rotated underneath the hatch, heading to the bottom of Garage to see if he can offer something, making sure that there's nobody just watching, just waiting. Can hit red, but leaving himself here in the lounge, feet up, waiting for some possibility of, well, give me a minute and I'll catch them then.
You want to make sure that everybody is indeed in cache inside of CCTV, and then he's going to be making his move as you slowly see him creep inside of the garage right now, being careful, being silent, making sure that nothing spots him. There's a drone down there, but it's inactive, and that means he can just freely move through, and he doesn't want to take the shot yet. He wants to be careful. He wants to know where the second player is, and he's just waiting until he gets off the drone, and as he gets closer and closer, he's getting closer and closer to the rest as well, but then unfortunately Shockwave gets off the drone, meaning that Joe has to execute him and drop down quite quickly through oil pit as a C4 gets tossed down, blows Rask off the roof, and that is going to be the double entry right here for Na'Vi.
Yeah, sends him right back out to the ground floor there, and that was a very quick blow to strike against Virtus.Pro, and again, that's the confidence, that's the skill, and that's one more for Joe as he swings back up the central stairs and finds himself towards the top of the site itself. What a huge advantage they've been able to build themselves, and they've almost stacked it all into their favor as Milan suffers inside construction, quickly trying to build himself a little bit of a hope and a chance, but with the swings coming through, hits the SMG, but Joe with the triple and Kendry with Joe put him out of Virtus.Pro's misery. Now it's just WTG left.
Really must be Virtus.Pro's misery. Kendry trying to help a hand right here because VP not really getting a grip onto this round as Joe has been harassing them throughout the entire round so far, and there's only 20 seconds left. It's only up to WTG, and as soon as he moves in, they will be aware. There's a pro member there in logistics with the bullet hole, and he's not going to be able to find a kill. Eventually will, however. Dopey will drop. It's up to WTG in a 1v2 situation with 10 seconds left. Quick reload coming in, knowing one will be inside the gym. Selmas are being deployed to try and waste those ADSs right there. Smoke canister pops that will cut off the angle just into giving him an opportunity, but the time runs out. It's Na'Vi that are able to win round number 3, and that means they are in the lead right here. And as you said before, it was VP yesterday that was able to get the first round against G2, and after that it all went south. It all went G2's way, and so far they are repeating that rhythm. However, they're starting on the attack this time rather than the defense, which was the case yesterday.
It's good to see Na'Vi living the game that we know that they can play very well, which is this hyper-mobile, hyper-aggressive setup. Love patience, followed up by the C4 up there, as it was like the double moment of devastation of, okay, 1, 2, 3, let's boogie, and it led to the death of a pair of players. And it's that kind of confidence that is the thing that we've always generally been missing from Na'Vi for a while. They haven't had that as a steady game. When they are on, they are beyond, and when they're off, unfortunately, this map happens. But Clubhouse, it's a good map for them. It's a good UK map. It's a good place for them to kind of go, we know we're good here, and we know we can pull wins here, and we also know that Virtus.Pro lost it yesterday. They proved a point. Virtus.Pro against Na'Vi in the previous map. Na'Vi, it looks like they're shaping up to do the same in response.
2-1 current scoreline. Na'Vi need to fight back after the fiasco that is named Consulate. They want to be bringing it to coastline, which is, yes, an aggressive, a gun heavy, a frag heavy map, many might call it. Danger donut. As you refer to it, as I took it over to bring it back to every single cast we have. And can Na'Vi do it? Can they keep up the current pace that they're in? Because they're doing quite well. Joe is on a tear today, actually. He's going to be able to quick quite a lot of opening kills throughout these two maps so far. And if he's going to be able to keep that up, Na'Vi might find themselves in coastline sooner rather than later.
Doki, waiting in a place where a horror movie happened before and is making sure the drones don't quite find him yet. Creeps forward and goes for the first, sprays through, gives the game away where he is, and Shockwave survives this time. So for Shockwave fans, he's still able to put something into this round, and it's the creep and the pinch and the pressure from the start of the push towards blue. They were very successful here before, but as I said, what I wanted to see was the adaptation from the hands of Na'Vi, and it is, well, let's go to the site.
Droning out, hoping to find someone in blue, but just pre-placing it for now for one of his teammates to watch. Would he be leaving this post? And so far, just holding off the angle, not going to be finding any of the Na'Vi players. They're all staying put in their positions behind the boiler, behind the door. All Shockwave can do is just hope and wait that one of them will be making a mistake eventually and stepping out of their place.
Waiting patiently for any chance here of the pressure as he drops some angles and looks for anybody. The pings are consistent. A minute 30 though, when you compare this with the last time we were here, there was already a lot of bodies littering a lot of the various other rooms and floors that this site offers. Rask with a big rotation gets the hammer down to the ground inside to pound the floor and pound the meat. It is buried inside the kitchen. Nothing as of yet. Still raw, still uncooked. Not fit for service. Can't quite find what's at the bottom of the platform.
Finding is something they would like to do. The last time they were able to get quite a lot of kills from these verticals to come down, and while Milan is not being contested whatsoever, that means they can just open up onto that kitchen hatch, create an even bigger line of sight, and even the ability to go for a drop if they would feel like it. There's going to be smoke grenades available on the ace. Yes, WTG has them, so that could mean we could see a smoke executor come in right here as Milan, together with the Ash of Pasha, are looking to put some pressure down from the central stairs. They're hoping to put some pressure down, maybe even go through that hallway, making sure that they grab this control as the Vulcan shields are being blown up by Pasha, making sure that no one is going to be able to play behind those anymore. No one is going to be able to just look through those small mirror windows that are inside those shields, and just look at the setup that VP is bringing right now. Everything is being centered around this one hatch, around this one kitchen hatch, and as the last shield is being blown up as we speak, surely soon this execute will come.
Well, with 15 seconds left and all 10 players, this is the first time this has happened in this entire showdown. The first drops either side at C4 and WTG as they try and pinch their way to the diffuser carrier. Kendrew with the double, make sure it's locked down. Hey, why not get a third for the measure? Drops from the heavens and falls into his lap. The two in the middle courtyard. Shockwave finally finds his first, but that is the only for VP as they lose their third round.
VP wanted to just push through right there. They wanted to get control of the hallway, but they weren't able to actually make it stick. They were too slow as three people jumped down through the hatch, hoping to get a plan down. Just a quick mowdown came through from like literally 3 guns being at the other side of the armory, able to just take them down one by one. And then, well, you had 2 players left inside of the actual hallway that weren't advanced far enough to actually make sure that there would be cover for players. Up for Kendrew, who was just running towards the actual diffuser, making sure it will be secure. And that gives us that 3-1 situation right now where Na'Vi is leading. Na'Vi is recreating Consulate, but in the other way around, making sure that VP is getting a taste of their own medicine.
Attackers need to locate and
Back up. They've done 3 in a row. Can they keep looping it? Obviously, it was a roll of the dice and a bit of a risk to start on your attacks, club, but finding yourself with this situation of, well, okay, we've been able to potentially pull a 4-2, we've been able to maybe even pull a 3-3, and your attack's heading into your defense. That's such a big mental game, especially after the lack of success you suffered yesterday against G2.
And this really won't go well for VP. In the game against GT, they were able to get 2 of their defensive rounds, not sure their attacking rounds, it's a win. 1 of their defensive rounds, and so far they are yet to, well, get that second attacking round. And the attacks are really something you need to nail down. You want to get 2 rounds if you want to be going into your second half quite comfortably. Knowing that you are on the defense can be a big help. However, if you let Na'Vi get away with this, if you let Na'Vi push up to a 5-1 scoreline, which might be the way that this is currently going, considering the fact that we had a complete rotation with 3 rounds in a row being won by Na'Vi, that might be bad news for VP right now. They might not be able to get that second round in, and if so, they need to make sure it is coming soon rather than later.
The steady approach comes through Garage. The big walls are starting to fall as they make sure they've got all of the angles that they need to try and pinch and push. There is Doki, living up to the Na'Vi aggression of trying to swing onto every possible angle as they make sure that they've still got the lockdown on the walls around. But hey, Virtus.Pro, we're slow, we're steady, we're droning, and we're not going to make the same mistakes. We know we need to start pulling some of these rounds because, well, we know what happens if you're suffering on the other end of a 5-1. It just happened by us.
Doki moving across the catwalk, knowing he has been droned out, and just deciding to go for a completely different position right here, going aggressive as well, knowing the garage wall. 3rd drone will be spotting him out. He will be taking it out as well, so no worries there. He just moves around the catwalk, making sure that the information they have on him is going to be outdated, so they have to feed in new drones every single time. But think about potentially trying to challenge him right there. Pasha is putting up a few of these breaching charges, as Milan actually will be able to get the kill from one of those holes that was created by the Hibana earlier on. That's going to be Doki gone. That is going to be Garage completely open now and up for the taking for VP right here.
They're looking for angles, looking for hope and possibility, but Blur's just going to pull back. With a minute on, there's plenty of time, and you can see Virtus.Pro are still slowly and steadily. Oh no! Well, slow and steady doesn't win this race, but Pasha at least wins the one against Joe. Drops him on the opposite side in the bottom of Garage as he tries to come in from the rest of Relaxation in the middle at the bottom of red. But with Kendrew playing up close with the shotgun, they're going to see if they can bait a bit of a surprise. Blur has opted to rotate towards the top of the red to see if he can try and keep a handle on anyone that might get a little bit of an idea of going underneath, but it's Saves that drops next. Kendrew's playing close, but remember, CC wall is open, but it doesn't even matter because it's the wall that suffers if Blur finds Shockwave in and amongst the midst of this. He's buried at the back, but with 40 seconds in a 3 versus 1, they know exactly where he is, and they don't need to know much more than that.
As soon as the garage gets out of control on this side, your round could just as well be considered lost, especially if it was this early on. There was no one that was going to be able to retake control, considering the wall opened up that early on, and then you're just going to have to deal with 2 or 3 people pushing up those catwalks, and it's really hard to get control again at that moment in time, because the angles are just favoring them. They're going to be able to directly look into the red stairs, going to be able to directly look inside the cash room, and it's just almost impossible to maintain control, especially if that wall is open. You cannot even get closer, you will be taken out. You saw Kendrew that was like at the one spot where you could sit safely for the angle that was being held by the man on the platform, but it didn't matter in the end, because as soon as he wanted to peek out, he got 3 guns pointed at his position, just taking him out like that. And thus, VP able to pick up their second round as they were able to take Garage from the start of the round, the priority straight. Right now, Na'Vi deciding to go back to Gym Bedroom.
Well, Frost back on the board and had some success here, but 4-3-2, well, they're still angling for this 4-2 split. 3-3 is actually positive in the way of Virtus.Pro, and now they have a little bit of wind beneath their wings to see if they can make themselves fly all the way through to their defenses. So just 2 maps of this potential 3 series, which is a shame because Coast is next, and that's always hyper fun, hyper aggressive, and with these 2 teams on the board. The extension comes out on the opposite side as they go for yet another big Roman rotation game. Joe is playing by a window, waiting for a spawn on the bottom of the stairs. You can see him very eagerly hoping and handling, and no, he's not going to take that this time.
Staying put, checking the cams, trying to find out if the default cam is still up. They're not taken out at that moment. He's not going to be able to go aggressive there. Just decides to go for a quick peek through the window, just opening it up, hoping someone would be playing. You know, someone would have spawned there. Maybe it was a bit slow. Just checking if that window would be opened up. He's not going to be able to find anybody right now. And that means that we will go through this round without a spawn peek this time. VP is trying to set themselves up again to start opening up these, well, the jacuzzi wall to get some control of logistics. As Blur right here is almost splitting out the toes of one of the players on the plateau.
Well, it's a little bit of a no.
On the plateau.
Well, it's a little bit of a no-man's stand showdown right now as they're concerned of all of the buzzing and audio that's happening close by, but they don't want to risk any of the push and pinch just yet. Virtus.Pro success from before was built upon droning, and swinging past the window and making sure there's no Na'Vi player to jump out there is always a good step. They are popping everything, including Doki, as he's dropped inside CC. Pasha is able to push himself towards construction, but it's just keeping a bit of a force here on the southern side to allow the rest of the Virtus.Pro players to try and counter that balanced Blur. Stacked up inside Gym and waiting for somebody to drift a little bit wide on the jacuzzi balcony, but it hasn't happened just yet. You can see Virtus.Pro is pulling themselves up and heading back around, still droning, still popping ADSs, and still trying to pop the walls and the heads behind. There's the swing, there's the push, there's the chance of Joe behind a mirror window, but the smoke canister is going to make things even easier for him to creep up, find some success, but no, not going to risk it just yet.
Then let them open up, give them an opening to try and move through right here. And I was going to say earlier, like, the issue Na'Vi is having right now is that they are just giving away the wall for free. But of course, there is a mirror window right here that should be helpful in trying to stop them from just running in right now. As grenades are being cooked in, that could be the end of Joe right now if he's not careful enough. More flashbangs are coming in. Surely the pressure is coming down soon.
Well, with this mirror window being such a big counter and saves being 1-2, there is Frost's big gun, and there is one more for Joe. Swings round, tries to get another, but can't see it over the plastic furniture. It's WTG that shuts them down and stops the reign of terror. 3 versus 3, though, with 40 seconds on the board. Plenty of time for them to be able to pull something together there. Jacuzzi has finally fallen, but that mirror window still stands. If somebody else can get behind it, it's still a big problem, and that's why they're getting aggro. Pushing in, pushing close, and pushing against Blur, who takes down Rask and makes sure the lockdown happens on the other side. Saves 2. It's now just down to WTG. He gets one with a heck of a shot through the gym equipment. Never miss aim day is how he rolls that through, and it's just creeping back in. Now the mirror window is his physically, but he's still got 2 more bodies and only 15 seconds to do it in. Smokes out the door to try and find the push on the opposite side and bait the play. 10 seconds, and he knows how desperately he needs to try and take this into a firefight. He cannot stick this in a 2 versus 1. He's going to stick it against 1, tries to find the second, but oh no, I'm out of here, says Saves. Navi's round.
Very well played there by Na'Vi, and as you said, like, the mirror window was still up, of course, by the way that the destruction happened. It was not going to be played. Might have been giving you a long angle from that 2 pixels you would be able to stand that, but didn't really work out. We will be back shortly, though, with the second half, but first, a quick break.
4-2 Clubhouse. Na'Vi now onto their attacks, and well, this is their map, so it wasn't their choice to be on attack second. Let's see if Virtus.Pro made the right gamble to start on their attacks.
Managed to get 2 of those rounds out, just as much as they were able to. I believe the 3 or 4 rounds they played on their attack against G2 yesterday. Then it ended in a 7-3 loss for VP. We're only able to win 1 defensive round.
Sad times.
There could be reason enough for them to choose attack to start off on. If you only manage to win 1 round of the 6, not really well.
Opening here, if we're going to talk about gambles, they've gone with Jim as their first hold. It's something where you can offer yourself a lot of balance and a lot of aggression. They're a great information team too, but they've also got those pulses to stop the quick pace potential of Na'Vi. With Melusi, it's going to bring those Screaming Banshees, a Frost 2 in situations where, okay, you're probably not going to fall into those too often, but it gives a bit of a game away. You've got to drop those if you want to take certain aspects like the top of red as we see there, or the hop through. Look at the pace here though, as Blur is quickly in, and so is Pasha. Instantly suffers a firefight down below. The bodies of Na'Vi are wasting no time as they find themselves in and amongst Garage now. They're going to swing round up to the rafters and try and get a bit of a flat firefight here, but with Pasha still doing pre-round setup and Joe the next to suffer, it is really putting Virtus.Pro on the back foot.
It is putting them on the back foot, yes, it indeed. But the nice thing about this one, though, is the fact that there is these mute gemmers that will slow down the attack just slightly. You saw Blur already climbing out the destruction wall, was not going to be able to actually respond to that in the meantime, as Rask will be able to take down Joe. Only they just open up right here onto the CCTV area, and look at all the members of VP. They are just waiting for the Na'Vi players to try and take control of Cash. They're hoping that they will come through them because they are not willing to give up their spawn.
Slow and steady approach now is quickly meted back by the amount of bodies that they threw into CCTV and Cash. That was the response Virtus.Pro made, is, well, they're coming in hot and heavy, so we got to hit him with something heavier. Doki, though, creeps up, might not see the frost mat. There it is, there's the game, there's the giveaway, and there's the pre-fire through a wall, but it's Ras that suffers first. Kendrew is able to apply a little bit more pressure. It's just Pasha left alone and isolated with the backing of a couple of people that say, hey, we're here, but we're also just kind of over there. You'll be alright, we've kind of got you. The rotation happens over the top floor towards Logistics Hatch. They might try and get this close wall open too. They're checking that there's nothing to try and stop them, and there goes Shockwave further and further back. Pasha further and further adrift.
Coming down. Oh, they didn't even know that he was right there. Saves gets shot in the back by Pasha, and that is going to be a great start right here for Virtus.Pro. Able to get the second kill in the round, and yes, 2 of them are very low on HP and can be taken out by just a sneeze of any of these operators, but still they have the guns. They are still in the game, and they still have the opportunity of making these kills happen as Pasha goes aggressive yet once more, but will be picked up finally by Doki.
Well, it's not quite the Queen's Gambit, but the Kings of Virtus.Pro are making it work with these big ballsy plays. They dug themselves in and hoped that somebody wouldn't see them, and, well, it actually worked. Well done, the man on the inside, but so far it's time to see if you can get the insides of the men that are still pushing against you. A 4 versus 3 situation. They have the body advantage, but they also now have the pressure that they can put directly onto construction and onto these windows. There goes one more. Blur is able to win that 1 versus 1 and makes it count. There's a quick trade, though, on the opposite side. Shockwave goes down, but Rask picks up the pennies and makes sure that he can make something count out of it. 15 seconds left as Rask digs in with only a sliver of a health. It's going to fall down to Milon. He still has the impact, but they're still trying to put pressure onto Jacuzzi. Instead, they do not have the time for those long burn pellets to pop off, but Blur's popping off in his own way. A 1 versus 1 as it falls down into the bathroom, swings, pre-fires, and doesn't find it. It's a trade! A trade is how it goes!
And by the new rule set, has been implemented like around a year, maybe a year and a half ago. It is 1 on the basis of who is on the defense. And that means VP will be able to pick that one up, as Doki wasn't able to cleanly cut out that kill, because you saw the owl that was just pre-firing the rotation that was going towards the jacuzzi wall, because that was opened up by the Hibana. That was the last operator as well, the Hibana that is, and they didn't know he dropped inside the logistics. So I get the fact why Shockwave was pre-firing that. It's just that Doki wasn't able to get the first shots hit, and that allowed the Maestro to go for, as you see right there, Doki a bit disappointed. It allowed the Maestro to go for the quick flick, for the quick correction, able to take down Doki as he took down him. And a 4-3 is the score we're currently in.
Well, back down to church we go, and by the grace of some god, Virtus.Pro were able to pull themselves through onto that one. Ended with a trade, but so close to this play. Now, let's see if they can set themselves up for a little bit more success. 4-3, the gap is slightly less wide, but obviously for Na'Vi, they've still got potentially one map after this if they want to pull themselves into third place and pull something more out of this tournament and out of this finals day. A bit of an extension, a bit of a rotation, but nowhere near as much as extreme we saw from Na'Vi before.
Trying to get the camera inside of the microwave, but deciding to hide it in the secondary spot. Not willing to waste too much time, considering the round has already started, needed to go for a different one. And VP, after maybe escape, like they had a really good entry into that round, right? They managed to pick up 2 kills, and somehow Na'Vi was able to bring it all the way around. Only for Shockwave to get that final trade. It got way closer than VP should have allowed it to get. And Na'Vi, unfortunately for them, didn't get the shot down one bullet earlier. One bullet earlier, and it would have been a Na'Vi round.
One bullet earlier. Story of a lot of entries' lives. But the entry here is coming quick and fast. Yet again, the pace that Na'Vi are putting down towards the site is, we're taking this fight to Virtus.Pro, and we're making sure they have no time to breathe. In Virtus.Pro, they've seen a bit of a slow build team, and they're still setting themselves up. You can see the extension going down towards dirt. You can see them seeing if they can find a little bit more of an angle, and you can see Milon is, well, trying to see what you can see on a pixel.
Hoping to find a head or a leg or anything he can find. If it's a great toe that he manages to hit, that's damage done. Just wants to make that angle work, and saves. Taking a lot of damage right there. I believe he actually impacted himself accidentally as he tried to get rid of one of those evil eyes. Taking about 50 HP of his own. This camera Rask actually giving big information. 3 people right now in that kitchen. Unfortunately, though, there's no way that someone is going to be able to get close to get a C4, and because so many angles are being watched, grenades are being tossed and everything. I don't think they actually managed to get that Maestro Chem, so that means one of the evil eyes will at least stay up for now, and there's no more grenades left, so they'll have to go for an aggressive peek with the Ash, for example. Also, actually doesn't have anything left, so that evil eye will stay up.
Well, peppered bullets are hitting all of the bits of blue, but right now Joe is just waiting, which is a strange game for him, but it's down to the guns of Na'Vi on the backside to try and apply some pressure and pinch your body first. They're dancing dangerously for this entry, and Joe's being told, no, wait, we need you there. You're our only person on the other side for now. Here comes the flashes, and here comes the presence and the pressure coming down kitchen hatch. They're aware that it's being watched, so Doki's going to go for a rotation, but Blur's not having any of it. Takes care of Milon and finds himself down, feet in and down on the default plant spot. There's the flashes, there's the cover of the audio, and there's more stuns to the man behind the third box. This is where you strike, Joe, and this is where you can bring some pressure on the backside. It's down. A post-plant situation, but Blur doesn't last much longer than that as Pasha swings in, saves, swings onto WTG and drops him on the corridor. There is one more, and there is Joe finally striking from behind. Blue is his. 4 versus 2, and Pasha's got to deal with the problem behind them, but don't quite make it. There is a Shockwave stuck in a hole, and there is Na'Vi, one more ahead.
What was that reinforcement? I don't know if you know which one I'm talking about. The one that was covering off the church. Like the drop, you know, the kitchen hatch to church. There was no way they would be able to see it. They couldn't see them drop because they reinforced it.
I've seen a few teams doing that.
Yeah, but like, you know, they're gonna like, okay, you might not know prior to this, but it kind of defeats the whole point of trying to challenge the hatch. And if no one is going to be getting himself into a position where he can challenge a drop, they're going to get a free plan like they just did. Like, I'm okay if you reinforce it, but you set up to try and challenge it. But if you reinforce it and then just all play inside a church and play inside a blue, that is not going to be helping you. They can just freely plant. Like, he just dropped down, went deep in the corner, so the evil eye couldn't even see him. They got the plan down. Then a C4 came in, but it's too late already at that moment in time.
A lot of confidence there from Blur to be able to pull that in and put that down. Yeah, as we see it get done and demonstrated. Hey, man, your color. This is your job.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I really don't get the point, by the way, that they, like, look, WTG puts up a shield there. Okay, that I understand, because that gives you an opportunity to try and challenge that hatch if it's not going to be from the A bomb site. You might just want to be safe. You don't want to give them the angle directly into the A bomb site if they take armory. But you cannot just really give them the kitchen, because that's what happened first. They had a black eye up there, so they had information. They knew where they were. Just no one was there to try and lob up a C4 to try and get the kill. Then you allow them to freely drop in plant, and no one is there to try and contest it. That is a big mistake right there. You gotta make sure that something is ready to make sure that they're not allowed to freely do that. May it be a pre-placed C4 that you guide with your camera, or may it be a player that is playing either deep in one of these corners, hoping to avoid all the sledges, or behind the shield that has been put down there behind the armory rack.
Wow, 30 seconds, and yet again, Na'Vi are already putting pressure onto the kitchen. They are wasting no time and making sure that Virtus.Pro feels the heat of whatever they want to stir and cook up. Joe, yet again, trying to apply some pressure onto the backside, looks down oil, see if he can get a cheeky kill earlier on, but nobody's playing that game, so it's back to where he was able to be so successful before. And yet again, we'll probably play the let's swing, see if we can get somebody, but otherwise, it's a waiting game yet again. Let's wait for the others to do what they need to do, because they did it so well before. As you said, they were able to get down and get the free plant, but this is maybe the adaptation here from Virtus.Pro. Pasha seems like he's playing a little bit more of a game, but if he backs up a few steps further, well, the audio surely would have given away that Joe is there. Joe is waiting. Joe is kind of hungry for kills.
Joe kind of tried to bait Pasha to fall back behind the boiler with using that drone, like being like, hey, I spotted you, I'm going to be coming soon. But Pasha was feeling confident that he could win the gunfight if he would be dropping down oil pit. And as soon as Joe went off, he went into that safe spot. So a little bit of mistiming right there. Of course, Joe cannot stay there too long. There might be aid coming in from the B bomb site, from the boxes. Not the case right now. Saves yet again trying to get the evil eyes or any piece of utility that would be located in there. I believe that wasn't the camera that actually got placed. This way you're going to be denying that information and allowing yourself to yet again set yourselves up for a plant that you did before. And as Joe is trying to peek close, it's going to be Pasha that he picks up somehow with 20 HP.
Now the press is coming in on side pipes. They've been able to adapt their push, and Blur is the other one to find success on the opposite side. Rask with a C4 gets the diffuser carrier and makes things a little bit trickier, but with the bodies already taken care of, there's Rask pushing further and further and further. No! Kendra is the wall that he meets at the end of the tunnel, and Milon is now suddenly all that is left inside the site itself. He's waiting for a bit of a push, but with Kendra with the diffuser in, he's going to pop it behind the default plant spot, and Saves keeping himself open. If they decide to push pipes, they decide to push the other way. The C4 swung out, blown out, and there it goes. A beautiful time play from Milon with the arcing of all the angels inside that church. It's now down to Saves to see if he can save this round and bring it back into Na'Vi's favor. The typing on the buttons is frantic and worried, and the dance around the diffuser is the dangerous dance of all. They find themselves eaten up by Saves.
Really well played there by Saves, just holding steadily behind the box right here. He has a little angle. Let the enemy waste their magazine. Let them fire as much bullets as they can, which means they have to be conservative in that final gunfight. And as he peeks in, he quickly finishes it off. Gets that final shot in. And that means 6-3 right now. It is a map point here for Na'Vi. They are refusing to let this be a 2-0, and they're hoping that they can finish it off right now as VP is pushing it up to CCTV cash. Yet again, you saw the adaptation coming out from VP on the plant that just came down, but Na'Vi responded with a completely different take that they didn't really set up for.
6-3. 6-3 Na'Vi. One more, and then you can find yourself heading over to Coastline with the chance of relaxing in Ibiza and having a very aggressive firefight in the midst. But, hey, you've definitely pulled in a much better performance so far. Virtus.Pro. Well, they've had a little bit of success on their defenses, but obviously it came to a swing and a trade. So it was a 50-50 swing. It was down to a bullet. That bullet went in their favor. Now, growth is becoming a little bit more towards CC. They're not going to risk Jim yet again. They're going for the big reinforcements down below, going for a garage hold too. And yet again, I'm curious about the potential pace that we might see played. Blur being generally strictly on the thermite roll now instead of Kendrick.
I'm gonna quickly say the last time we saw VP play this, they managed to get quick kills down onto Na'Vi because of the fact that Na'Vi did not put any denial into the garage walls. Now, if you can quickly check that in a second, I believe there has been mute jammers that have been deployed right there, which means that indeed, as you can see, they're not going to be able to open up the default angles with the ace, which means that the mezzanines will be safer to play for VP. So VP is adapting to their own way of attacking and approaching this right here, just in case Na'Vi would be trying something similar. Really like that.
Okay, Na'Vi, you're close, but close is no cigar. A cigar is a cigar. And let's see if you can sit back and smoke it on a different map. The frag grenades are going to head over the top and see if they can get again and play the quick pace against the mute jammer that's instantly blown. The timing, the synergy, it's like someone is waving one of those orchestra sticks, which I'm sure Dev's going to correct me about what that actually is later. Either way, that wall open, that quick, that fast, without anyone, even a sliver of risk, you can't ask for better than that.
Now that is indeed definitely really good. The issue now, however, here for Na'Vi is that they're not going to be able to open up right here. It looks like... No, actually, they were able to get one of them. The other one, however, they will have to try and find that mute jammer from the actual door, and thus they will be entering, already taking the catwalk. Actually, there's no one here to hold it. They're just getting away for free. And Joe will go down. But that's okay, because Kendra is still in here and they don't expect that. And as he's trying to get closer and closer, they are going to be allowed to go for that pickup safely, and Joe is going to be able to walk up again. They're going to be able to put some more pressure down from the garage side of things. Yes, you lost Doki, but you do have very important control right now.
Well, in the meantime, Doki was dropped by a run out by Pasha, but as he said, they've been able to get Joe back up. Control of Rafters is in their favor, but Virtus.Pro have been able to do something back for the first time, seemingly on a lot of these defensive rounds. They've been actually able to defend Joe back to his feet and back doing what he does best, but shut down by WTG, who also does, well, what he does best. Now, though, the pops of the smoke canisters over the top put a very low health Kendrew in a very dangerous predicament, but they have Blur sticking it in and amongst the smoke. Screw it. Head down. There's the diffuser. Heads in. Let's see if we can lock this off. 40 seconds and another post plant for Na'Vi.
Very well played, just sticking it right there as the smoke canisters were coming through. They thought it was going to be a default plant spot, but it was totally not. Just around the corner right here, and Milan is going to be confirming that right now. Spots out that diffuser. They know where it is right now. They have a 1-minute advantage, but with the smoke canister, they're going to be trying to put Kendrew out of play for now. Rask is getting in with that diffuser. They take down Kendrew. That means they have control of the garage yet again. But the man that was defusing gets taken out, and suddenly they manage to get every single one of them. Milan is going to be able to get that defuse down. The nice shots are being called, and the round will go to Virtus.Pro.
6-4. Well played, well pushed, and well countered by a team that brought themselves back in from the brink and able to do some bit of success with a post-plant defuse for the first time in a while.
It's been a while indeed. We've seen a post-plant diffuse coming in. Normally when the diffuser goes down in this match, it will end the round eventually. Whether it is by kills of the attackers or whether it is by that diffuser running out. There's 2 more opportunities here for Na'Vi to try and go for the win. To try and make sure they push this to a map number 3. Because that is what they would like to go for. They want to go to that coastline. And yes, it is an aggressive map. Yes, it's a frag-heavy map. And they are well aware of the fact that they lost Consulate. But it's a completely different map at the same time as well. So there is more opportunities for Na'Vi there. There's Virtus.Pro. He's pushing us up to the gym and bedroom now. Is this going to be the round where Na'Vi can confirm their map? Or is this going to be Virtus.Pro going yet another round closer to try and push this to overtime?
6-4 as we start to see them set up back again on one of the sites they were successful on. The big change here is Clash is in the hands of WTG, something to rebuff what can be quick pace from the hands of Na'Vi, who have seemed relentless in their drive and determination to get themselves buried into the heart of the site and the soul. You assume they aren't going to fall for the same mistake of a man hiding on a table before that maybe cost them the round. It wasn't for saves being taken by surprise, but assumptions make fools of us all, so let's see how they decide to grow on this fresh approach. VP seem like they're well aware of the pace that's being applied against them now, and you assume that Clash is, let's buy ourselves just a fraction more time.
That's it indeed. The Clash is going to be having the opportunity of completely locking down one side of the map by just zapping them. And with the threat of a potential gunner nearby that has the opportunity of taking you out, that is something teams might not feel too comfortable about challenging. And it is going to be Pasha that is playing close. I believe he did get droned out, as there is one indeed on the staircase, so he has to be careful as he jumps through that window, as that might be his doom. Manages to rotate out safely nonetheless. And Joe Dust will be rappelling up right here onto Highway, making sure that he can put down some pressure as he sees Will drop it through the hatch right there. The clash comes in and the shots will be caught up. This is exactly what WTG needs to do. He needs to stay alive right here. He doesn't need to step too far back, because that will lose him his life, because that is being watched by Joe right now.
Well, the angles are pretty locked down with Rask on the table, making sure the clash doesn't drift too lost. Shockwave underneath with the potential to obviously loop a C4 background and cut that man out the window, but they're not going to play there. They were the first death last time round, and it's a very important role because it isolates a lot of bodies from the site. That's a lot of bodies on the site, and Joe's going to make sure there's even less. Drops the man in the middle of all the action, and Pasha's going to step in to try and replace them. But look at how they're all falling back now. They're worried and panicked, and they need to get a little bit more safety in the site itself. If Joe gets any more powerful, that's a big risk, and they're going to make sure he's no risk no longer. Swings onto the window and takes care of him before building their little bit more defenses inside construction.
Taking Joe out is going to be giving him a lot more freedom about rotating around in construction. Not having to worry about someone being on those windows constantly is going to be a huge help right here for WTG, who is currently on his shield trying to slow down the 3 attackers that are coming from the cache side. Being droned out, stuns are coming in, but the shield is not getting any concussion whatsoever, so WTG is going to be allowed to continue trying to zap them. There's no more utility left they can use to try and get rid of him right here, and as he's being pushed from 2 different areas right now, impacts are trying to be used to make sure that that shield will flinch. And that leaves us with nothing left. It's just Na'Vi, 4 people right now, coming up against the man in his shield with his 3 gunners on the back trying to support him. They need to find a different entry into the site. They cannot go through construction. That has been completely locked off. And thus, as Pasha is hiding right here, might be trying to bait one of these players in, but a grenade is being cooked. And if that gets tossed in, that might be his doom as he is stepping out, gets shot down.
Now then, stuck inside and looking for something as he tries to build on the door of logistics. Clash is the door, and that's a frag grenade, and that's no danger to her. She's decided as the second gets caught by an ADS, pulls back further and further as they swing their way around. Only 15 seconds, and a man on the opposite side with the diffuser is trying to hop in via construction, but with Shockwave in the position to swing around on this corner, it's actually Milon that opens it up with Kendry with the response, but Milon yet again inside the bathroom, 2 versus 1, and a man left on the bed sleeping.
I fell out of bed.
Still
wasn't able to get it.
Still sleeping.
VP holding on, and as I said, he's still sleeping. That's for sure. He's sleeping tight after that one. But Na'Vi are losing another match point, and that means we're currently up to 6-5. Overtime is coming closer and closer, and Na'Vi must be feeling that. Virtus.Pro yesterday found themselves in a situation like this where they were on, I believe, a couple of match points. That was on, I believe that was in Cafe. And G2 was able to bring it all the way back, and they were able to win that one, close up the series 2-0. And right now, we're having a similar situation happening. However, this time it's going to be VP that's putting up the pressure to their opponents instead of receiving that pressure. Na'Vi had 3 match points, if I'm not correct. Or 3 map points, rather. There's only 1 left out of these 3. They have to make this one stick. And it is going to be another Church and Arsenal push. The side they have been able to win twice. So the odds, they are in their favor. But VP, they are definitely going on strong right now.
Well, more angles, more ideas, and let's see if they can actually build them into a success story. Na'Vi, a couple of rounds have slipped through your fingers, but you've had success before. It's just a matter of trying to double down and have it again. It was so close the last time you were on Church as well. It was a C4 over the top that brought it down to a 1 versus 1, so they'll try and potentially build on something a little bit more successful. Let's see where they can go from this. A long extension all the way up to the top with the mute jammers to make sure they have the ability to drop down, similar to obviously how we see these extended holds, but at the same time nowhere near as many bodies on this top floor as Na'Vi had before.
Imagine if that one trade we seen in the showers or in the bathroom didn't go the way it did, and if Doki was going to be able to pick up that kill, that would have already closed off this match that we're currently still playing. VP, because of that trade, is still allowed to live, and Milon makes the best of it. We'll be able to pick up Kendry. That is the sledge gone. Would be able to be a huge sigh of relief right there as the floor in the kitchen will stay, well, closer than it would normally.
There pops a wall and there drops a Milon. Loops back round to Strip to make sure he isn't being watched by any potential drones. It's a great spot to keep his territory for you. You can kind of keep yourself isolated and strike back, but here's the first, and it's a Joe that gets past you. The Ash versus Jaeger, both sides, but it flips into the favor of a man who's had a very good map so far, and he's headed his way back round towards blue. Done some work, but the work is not quite done. All 4 bodies of Virtus.Pro have headed back down to the site. However, they're going to make sure that they don't risk any more of these confrontations and keep themselves in a situation where they can use all of the reinforcements, use those hatches and keep that fight going. Na'Vi, if you may have noticed, this is the slowest that they have seemingly approached the site. They read that the hold was taller. They read that they had to do more, and they went and did it now, though. Pressure starts to come down onto blue.
The pressure indeed does come down, and now it's up to Na'Vi to decide what kind of a take are we wanting to go for. We still have our Doki with the Hibana able to open up these hatches. We still have Blur, of course, with the Exothermic able to open up one of these walls as he used one of the Exothermics onto the bar hatch. You see fours are being tossed out potentially. There's also still some breaching charges that are able to open up the flooring that no longer get opened up by that giant jackhammer or sledgehammer that Kendra brings. As W2G picks up yet another kill. That is going to be Joe off the board. A huge fragger for Na'Vi. 50 seconds left. VP, are you pushing this to overtime?
Great sharp pull, and Rask is beating all the beats and heartbeats that are coming through, but they're not quite beaten yet as they drip themselves down and make sure Moto is under their control. Shockwave is ready to swing round and try and catch anybody that gets a little bit too much of a glimpse inside the church itself. Make sure the flash doesn't get him, but it's going to be more and more that fall through, and there's the body too, and there's the worst time to pull it off, but the catch comes through. They did get one, almost didn't though, and saves the day yet again. 20 seconds, and all of the bodies are stacked up with an idea of where this push is coming from. The diffuser is back in the hands of the aggressors. They still have a man down. They still have a situation they need to break through, and now they have an OT to do it in.
Overtime is underway, and it is arrived. It has arrived, and we are going to be going there. The question now being, where will VP start off? They get choice, and actually Na'Vi gets choice on where to start an OT, and I only assume it will be defense as they will stick on their current position. And then you're wondering, was that the right choice by the way how things have gone? I'm not sure. I think Virtus.Pro must be feeling really well right now, as they have been able to get quite a couple of these attacks pinned down. However, actually Na'Vi deciding to go Church Arsenal again. Okay. Let's see him. Let's see it happen. Let's see whether or not Na'Vi is going to be able to make their Church Arsenal stick, or whether or not VP is going to be able to make sure that their attack will reign supreme.
Yeah, there was one slip up at the beginning where things slightly struggled. So I guess it's the breakdown of, well, can they lock it down? A bit of a blow of confidence, a bit of a build in Virtus.Pro, and a bit of a breakdown from Na'Vi could lead to a shorter day than they'd probably hoped. But they still have some hope, and they still have OT, and they still have the rights to call this their map until the Fat Lady has sung. Talking. So let's see them set up for their church hall.
Map definitely closer than Na'Vi would have liked. 7-1 loss on Consulate. They wanted to make this one of similar fashion, but the EU League finals have been a blowout in map number 1. And after that, we are going into real close maps every single time. Now they lost 3 match points in a row, 3 map points in a row. And VP brought it back to overtime. Are they going to be taking this in a 2-0 fashion? Are they going to be getting the next 2 out of 3 rounds to make sure that they close this one off as the number 3 and continue to keep Na'Vi underneath them?
Ash are slow and steady with the drones working overtime, and underneath they know that Na'Vi are a bit of a loose cannon in terms of a defensive team, so they're making sure that they have an eye and idea. They were a slow and steady team before, but this time it seems like they want to make sure they have the beat on the opening engagements. Na'Vi, for their sake, they're playing quite reserved for a Na'Vi that we've otherwise seen stretched across the entirety of the map. They're making sure that they're in a situation to try and get response and revenge for all of Virtus.Pro and saying, okay, spend your 2 minutes clearing the rest of the map. We know you're gonna. If this was us attacking, we would have already put pressure onto the kitchen hatches. You're a slow and steady team. So we're going to make sure that we're that final minute winning team.
I think that VP does better right now is making sure that they keep control out of their sledge that is now allowed to open up the flooring. Is going to be creating so many lines of siding. You see Kendra playing there inside of that armory. Yeah, he's going to be having a bad time if Rask is continuing what he's currently doing. He's going to be opening up so many angles. However, you have to be careful because Kendra has a C4 and I believe it's actually pre-placed. And he is going to be detonating that as soon as one of these sledgehammers are going to be getting close. As Rask is rotating around trying to bait maybe for that C4. As you see right here, it's going to be opening up. I've actually got it. There's no C4. There it is. There came the boom. No kill coming out. And a lot of openings are created. Kendra, however, will be escaping with his life.
Well, the floor is steadily being made into more of a ceiling as they get a big glimpse down into the glass that they're about to shatter. The bomb pellets pop off. The reason she's usually banned is how much her utility can be manipulated right now. It only takes 4 through the door of the hatch, and there's still so much more left to do, especially with only a minute left to do it in. Kendra has pulled himself back into dirt to have a bit of a flat ballast and balance of anyone that goes for an approach, with Joe steadily watching in case the trip comes, but oh, that's an unfortunate bit of fire to happen, and well, at least we don't have ourselves dancing too dangerously there. Virtus.Pro don't double that down with a drop whilst the tension is paid away from them, but instead start to apply their pressure and pinch from the main stairs.
Maybe we would like to have that normal shield as that kind of burned up some of the IDs. A grenade will be coming in, detonating the second shield. No more cover right now coming in from the main stairs area. One of the evil eyes is going to be taken out as well. 20 seconds left and Rask is inside. Is this execute going to stick?
Well, now they find themselves sticking themselves. There is the fight that's happening on dirt, but it saves that gets the big shot to the man with the diffuser. Rask picks it up and tries to put it down with the fingers of his dead teammate still on it, but there is another pickup and another drop. Another man. His hands on the diffuser with Milan falling from the skies and seeing if he can get anything from the fray that's happening all around. Finally, somebody's in a situation where they can try and hold that F key, but not for much longer. Saves is Na'Vi's savior.
I have to give credit to Blur there actually for that round, taking the cover of the Hibana as you see right there. That was the one piece of cover gone, whilst the one member was still trying to rotate over to the motor hatch to try and lock these two down. So Blur taking out the Hibana really saved that round right here for VP. Or for Na'Vi rather, I must say. And that means they have yet another map point that they can try and play with, and they have to make sure that this one will actually stick, because it's going to be getting so much pressure if they don't. It's going to be so much better for VP if they manage to get this into a 7-7 position.
One more round. Oh, I've said that before. I said that a few times, actually, for Na'Vi, unfortunately, on this map. But hey, one more round, and you might be able to find yourself with one more map left to play. Otherwise, Virtus.Pro, you've got to do some work right now to try and lock off these final 2 and try and lock off the day in 3rd place for you. Heading up to CCTV, heading to a site where they've been able to have good success. Across all things considered, obviously Church was where success wasn't found, but let's try the other site that was otherwise pretty consistently ours. There was the slip up and the slight plant of a diffuser down on the close corners, but Na'Vi seemed too slow with their attacks as Virtus.Pro started to get a little bit wise to the games being played.
Managed to bring it back from a 6-3 deficit to a 6-6. Virtus.Pro now yet again in a map point against position. One they have experience with. They've been able to fight back a couple of them right now and probably not planning on doing anything else right now. Key to this hold, yet again I'm going to highlight it, is the garage control. You want to make sure that you keep the control over the rafters. If you lose out on that one, Na'Vi is going to be allowed to freely walk up to that side, create these angles directly into that A-bomb site, making a lot of these positions, a lot of these peaks impossible to happen. Especially if you combine this with an open plateau wall that Blur is currently trying to make happen.
Quick pace is still the MO, seemingly, on this first step of a multi-step process, but I'm not going to say that again because that was already clipped once upon a time and I can't beat being blown up by your own exothermic. However, what can be beat here is potentially the adaptations Virtus.Pro has made. They have set themselves with more of a body count inside garage. 3 of them playing, with Rask on the ground floor is going to be the pressure and presence that tries to batten back against Doki and Joe. They're looking with the axe charge, but Rask is looking for an escape. Hits oil pit. Waits to see if he can catch anyone that gets close, but it's Milan that drops Kendra, I believe, from the door. Swung on, or maybe that was all the way outside to the open wall itself. Either way, you lose your sledge, you lose your frag grenades.
very good pick coming in right here, because you lose those frag grenades, which is a very helpful tool trying to clear out on these rafters. There's two players currently on top of these rafters, two players that are making sure that Garage stays under control of Virtus.Pro. And yes, you might have opened up the default wall, the plateau wall, but you're not going to be able to just run in when two of these players are inside the garage with other players playing out there. Basher getting another kill before Milan drops by the hands of Joe, but there's still one more there actually as Joe picks that one up as well. And suddenly the control I've been talking about is in hands of Na'Vi now.
Joe, with all the power and fury that he's been able to muster on this map, is able to do just a little bit more just when they need it most. Hops back down to offer some support underneath and make sure that they have some safety before they go for a main entrance. Rask is the one that might cause some problems. He's been able to pull himself to a slightly different position. He's not quite off the piece, not quite out of the way, but also not quite expected to be there. And that could be the strike that suffers them a little bit later in the day. 45 seconds, and you can see they're kind of trusting the guns of Joe to be the lead in here. WTG is in a position to throw the first canister, goes to the default, and Joe pulls away. Slivers of health aren't anything fun to play with in the smoke, but Blur still has the potential to go for something off-piece now. He looks towards the opener. That's 2 canisters gone in 30 seconds. Joe rotates off. This is Rask's time to potentially shine. Whoever wins this firefight could dictate the rest of the round. Pulls back, knows the game is a must-win, but knows there's only 20 seconds left now. Blur trying to stick it down. Saves, drops WTG. This is when Rask has to move to try and do some bits underneath, and Saves goes down. Shockwave finds one, but the diffuser goes cold. Joe on a triple kill has to win this 1 versus 1 to try and lock off the map, and Shockwave just has to pull back. Has a C4 in hand as well. Can play this in so many different ways and angles, and has opted for the wrong one. Joe, oh no! Sticks it.
Blunt.
Can he get there in time? You assume he can. The second passes, swings one way, swings the wrong way. There it is!
Oh my god! I was so afraid. I was thinking, like, he's not going to find it. He doesn't find it. And then Joe misses the most important shot of them all. Doki just rage quits out of the server. Oh, man. What is that? Shockwave just now able to find it. Normally in a situation like that, you don't want to be going for the defuse. That is normally just the key to losing. But he still managed to make it stick. He almost managed to hit the shot. It's just for the flick with that shotgun that he was able to get that final flick in. That he was able to make sure that the 7-7 would stick, and that VP has another opportunity. You see Doki right there. As we wait for him. Oh, he's already back. Never mind. I was going to say, if we wait for him to get back in, but I missed the moment he joined back in.
I guess there's something, maybe we saw that on player cams.
That's probably it. But now, match points or map points, depending on which team will take it. The pressure is on for Na'Vi. VP knows that if they lose this round, the game is not over. If Na'Vi lose this round, their game, their run is over in the tournament, and it will end 4th place.
Wow. You can't say it's all to play for, that's for sure. Na'Vi, a little bit left to do. Setting yourselves up and stack towards the gym side instead of opting for CC, playing something a little bit unexpected, but at the same time, you played this successfully both times before. So, hey, why not go with what has worked pretty well? Curious to see the adaptations that might be made by Virtus.Pro. They got a little bit caught up on the mirror window last time, so Kendra's bought that yet again to try and keep themselves buffered and battled back, but it was also the heroics of Joe swinging deep and heavy with that Jaeger that seemed to cause so many problems for them.
Quickly referring back to the last round, Joe, of course, getting stuck in that Banshee, gave away all the information that was needed for Shockwave to try and find out where he would be coming from, allowing him to just stay put. Not having to worry about him peeking him, because he would exactly know where he would be because of all that buzz that was going on. And look at Milan, by the way. 19 kills so far in this map. Really carrying VP.
Oh, he's having a heck of a map. He's having the kind of map that Joe once had against Na'Vi in Yukon. Once upon a time, before he was on Yukon. Before he was on Na'Vi, even. But now, let's see if they can find a little bit more of that energy that was so successful for them in that opening half. They're dropping down with a lot of pace here, Virtus.Pro. They're making sure that they have all the eyes on anything going on the CCTV and cache side. And look at this. It is such a flat, quick clear. I said they got caught up on the mirror window on Jacuzzi last time. They're not even going to risk and roll that dice this time round. They've opted for a different push on the hold. Concerned about the logistics hatch. Kendrew pulls away from the mirror window. The drones are steady and fervently hitting every angle. There's a head, but there's a few missed shots that scrape the shoulder of Kendrew. Pulls back and buys themselves more time. But look at Virtus.Pro setting themselves up on the windows of the bedroom and all the doors too.
I'd say that's not really the way how he would like to lose control of your mirror window right there in logistics when the Astra's Crouch walks through and basically bullies you out of existence right there. Right now taking care of the Banshee, which will allow him to move through, putting down a breaching charge as well, giving him an even better line of sight right here moving through, but then realized a player might be below, shoots out the C4 right before it blows, and that is going to be a great advantage right here for VP. They still know one is probably going to be below, even though he already rotated out, long gone. It was 60 seconds left. Well, and it's still a 5-on-5 situation.
Shockwave's trying to put the pressure here on Jim and making sure he can catch one person behind the weights in the middle of the room. Pasha has found his way into logistics and able to apply some pressure on the backside too. We can see a singular body that's onside those main stairs, ready to have a rotate round and swing on the corner. But Blur is the first one to find himself feet cold. He's able to potentially crawl to a DBNO estate to someone that might be able to save him. But look at this Pasha, wasting no time. 30 seconds left, drops one, turns the other. And there is one more for the trouble. Hey, not quite finding the triple as he swings. It's Kendrew that locks it down, but now it's only Kendrew that can lock this off. Finds himself pulling back with 20 seconds. No C4 in hand and barely much more health than zero, so he's got to try and bide and bait his time. Picked up by a drone and pick the rotation round. The diffuser's in the hand of WTG. They've got a bit of sight control and they've got themselves in to try and get the plant. There's the swing. There's the idea of a gun. There's the first. There's the diffuser. There's the miss. Virtus.Pro!
They win it, and they take it. Shockwave just moving at the exact right moment. Look at that. At the moment he was going to be able to get sight onto that diffuser, Shockwave saves the day right here for VP. He is saving the fact that they do not have to go for a third match. And Na'Vi get eliminated. And they end up 4th place. VP are able to keep Na'Vi below them once more. Na'Vi gate kept for the 6th Invitational, gate kept for the majors, time and time again, all the time by Virtus.Pro. And now they fall short in a matchup where they could decide, where they could show that they were better than them. And they go home 2-0.
Well, we'll have a very quick break before we go to the desk, and then after that, obviously the grand final of the whole thing. But let's have a break.